Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of BCS Community Connections podcast. And today on the podcast, I have none other than Annie Canto.
Hello, thank you for having me.
We're going to make sure we say Canto right, C-A-N-T-O.
Not Cantu. There's not a U.
That's right. Don't call her Cantu. So Annie is the owner of Traction Digital Marketing, and you may or may not have heard of it. It's a new startup business. Been doing it a little bit on the side, kind of doing some things, but have officially kind of launched here in 2021. Mm-hmm. And so before we get off into that, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself, kind of your background, where you grew up, what brought you here to College Station, hobbies, things like that. We'll kind of throw that stuff in there, and then we'll get off into Traction, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Awesome. So I am originally from Houston, Texas. I was born and raised there. My parents are immigrants. They're from Panama, so I've still got a good amount of family down there. So growing up, I spent all my summers, the 3 months of every summer in Panama, and then the school year here in the U.S. I still do go back quite a bit. As you can hear, though, in my accent, boy, am I from Texas. It's pretty bad. So yes, I grew up in Houston, in like central Houston. I always like to remind people that I'm not a suburb Houston girl, but that's all right.
Central, yes, right off in it.
Came to College Station for school for A&M. I did go to A&M for a little bit. Whoop, whoop. Once an Aggie, always an Aggie. In the middle of me going to A&M, I was pursuing medicine, which is a great track to go down. And I had always wanted to do that since I was like 3, and I'm one of those, I just have quite an obsessive personality. When I choose something, I choose it. And so, again, I think literally when I was like a kid, like 4 or 5, I had dolls, and I was like, I want to be in medicine. And so I did that, super gung-ho. In the middle of being in A&M, I had a mini meltdown. Nobody panic, I'm fine now. But I decided to take a semester off to focus on myself. And in that semester off, realized that, number one, I was a little nervous to accrue my student debt. And then number 2, just the lifestyle. I really love medicine, still passionate about it. I used to work in ER at St. Joe's here in Bryan. Great stuff, super exciting. But just realized that the lifestyle that they live every day was honestly the opposite of the lifestyle I was trying to live. So I made a whole lot of changes. It was very scary. I hate taking risks. Oh my. But I did it. And honestly, my parents are huge entrepreneurs, and they have, my goodness, again, so many things. I feel like my dad is like the king of having many revenues of income. He really kills it. So I think growing up, it was always, around me, being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. So when I took a break from A&M, I still had to pay bills and do things. So I started doing a whole bunch of odd jobs. And in that, honestly, was looking for a good side hustle. And I found what I'm doing now, but then I wanted to go a little bit more gung-ho into it, so I invested in an awesome course. That was a pretty lengthy, awesome course. Did that, and then after doing it for a little bit, I realized that, this could be a full-time thing. So I just started in 2021 kind of telling people, and now, yes, this is my full-time, and this is what I do now. So it's exciting, it's new, but yeah, it's a little bit about me.
So the entrepreneur spirit has kind of been alive in your family for a while.
Can't tell you how long.
And it's not uncommon. I mean, I tell people, when you think back to what it was that you wanted to do when you were a kid, when I was a kid, I used to tell people what I wanted to do is I wanted to be a computer programmer, right?
So specific, honestly, good for you.
Yeah,
I'm very generic, like doctor, lawyer.
Yeah. That's it. So there might be a little bit of an age difference between the two of us, but our typing was done on like Commodore 64. I don't know if that rings any bells for you.
It doesn't, but I'll roll with it. Go for it.
Yeah, if you go to the Smithsonian, you might be able to see it in there or something. But the passions of what it is that interests you are constantly evolving and changing. I think that's always a value for people to kind of hear and understand. There are a lot of folks that, like, I knew from a young age this is what I wanted to do. to, the folks that, and it really, I think if you talk to a lot of people, it happens when you get to college. Like once you get to college and you start realizing what it's going to take, not just the money that goes behind there. I mean, that's kind of the abrupt in your face part of it is, right. I'm going to need 17 grand for this semester or whatever.
That's definitely a painful part of it.
Yeah.
Correct. That grabs your attention.
Yeah. And then also the idea of like, you start getting really good at math, figuring like, okay, if I do this for 4 years, that means I'm gonna have this kind of debt. That means I'm going to be working for this long to pay this debt off. And I still have to live a life on the backside of that. So whatever it is that I come out of, I need to be making decent money. Right.
Yeah.
And so, dreams are kind of sometimes rationalized or crushed in that situation, or even in some cases just redirected. Don't feel bad. I mean,
I don't feel bad.
2 years. I tell people all the time I did 3 hours, and when I tell people I did 3 hours of college, they think I literally did like 3 hours credits. I literally did 3 hours one day.
I honestly love that support.
Yeah.
Again, I did like 2.5 years. I don't feel bad about it, but it's true. What you said is very true. It rings true. I feel like when you get to college, you start realizing not just the money. The money was always in my face, but you really realize like the day to day. I think I realized what my day to day was going to look like. And again, I mentioned that I worked ER at St. Joe's, and it was so exciting and so intense. And I am a very intense person. So it's not that I didn't like it. I did. I think I just realized like, whoa, I'm spending like 15 to 17 grand a semester to pursue this daily lifestyle. Like, do you want to do this every day until you're 65? And I had a mini panic. Nobody panic. Everything's fine. So I think I realized the day to day. And again, my parents are probably going to give me shit. It's fine. They have, and they're going to continue to do it. But my parents, they are great at what they do. They're very, big entrepreneurs. But I always, first of all, they weren't as present as I think they wish they could have been as parents because they were so busy. But growing up, I used to always tell them, they were always, pushing me and my siblings to get into entrepreneurship and taking over businesses. And I don't think they've looked out on a single one of us yet. I think it might be me now. But I always told them I never want to be an entrepreneur. I never want to own my own business. I just want to get a steady paycheck and I want to go home. I don't want to deal with the employees. Y'all deal with this that you deal with, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things that go, behind, especially the businesses that they have. It's a lot. And so I think the whole time growing up, I always told them that it was never going to be me. You better look to a different sibling because I am not the one. And then I told them this.
Well, you get a lot of folks that when they think of the word entrepreneur, they think work for yourself, and they think you can make your own hours and do all that other stuff. And there's pieces of truth in some of that stuff, Then when you realize like you're killing it, dragging it home, doing all of those other things that kind of go along with it, the stress level's a little different. It looks a little different.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's one thing to be your own boss. It's another thing to realize that sometimes you probably feel like you should fire yourself, and be in a situation where you are your motivator, you are your accountant, you are everything.
You're the person that makes your own deadlines. You know how terrifying that is? Well,
because if you're failing, you don't get to hang that on the boss's shoulder because you're the boss, So in entrepreneurship, again, and I think there's more of a push in that in today's environment than there's probably ever been, and more opportunity than there's ever been. Where people do get off into college, they start going, they get their basics in and everything else, and then kind of structure up basics and then kind of figure, okay, I'm going to guide this ship based on kind of what comes to me. Maybe there's inspiration that comes to me while I'm going to school. Maybe there's mentors, there's friends, there's people who open a door somewhere else to a potential other avenue that maybe you hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
And, for me, when I talk about that 3 hours, literally the first 3 hours of the first day, I knew walking in. Now, the first mistake I made is I didn't go right after school. I took probably a year off before I went in. And then the second part of that was when I got in there and I'm sitting down, and I think I made it to 2 classes maybe. And I'm going, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I just knew. And
I think I knew that too. I think in my head, it wasn't an option to not.
Yeah.
And my parents again, you don't know them, but when I say they're immigrants, they're pretty darn strict. They're militant.
Sure.
So
Well,
I think for
and
me, I didn't think it was an option, but I think I had the same feeling. My first day of any school, I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
But I think that, I suppressed that feeling.
Well, yeah, you want to.
I lasted 2.5 years, and I was like, all right, this feeling is
You get this
overwhelming.
feeling like I can drag this out and I'll get past this feeling, right? For me, I just knew like this wasn't what it was going to be.
Again,
now there was
good for you for knowing that quick.
And there was a time frame later on in my life that I went, they've got this thing called online college now, and I could try some of that, and there was some things that were made available to me that gave me an opportunity to be able to do that. And again, it was kind of the same deal, like. Got back into it, did it for a semester in online college, and then it was like, man, I feel like I'm writing papers every day. Like that's all I'm doing. Like, and I'm married at that time. I've got a kid on the way.
That's tough.
And I'm just sitting there going, man, when is there going to be time for my kid, my spouse, and for me, and all this other stuff?
And I think there's I think it's still new to me. There still is a little bit of embarrassment about telling people that. I don't start off my conversations normally, by the way, with telling people, hi, I went to A&M and then I dropped out and never went back. But I think that there's, when I say that, I think the embarrassment comes from, it paints me in a different picture. I think what people that know me know, I'm that annoying person that knows like every small fact about literally everything. Like again, my significant other, it's his pet peeve. Like we'll be driving and he'll be like, oh my God, look at that thing. And I'm like, did you know that in 1840, like I'm one of those. Okay. So I love learning. I've always loved learning. What I tell people is the format that I like to learn in is a little bit different than college lays it out. I love learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly listening to podcasts. Reading things, articles, again, like learning many things. I love it. I love learning hands-on. I think it was just the format for me that it was distributed in. Even online college, I've tried that too. I think it's the format and, what we're learning about. But again, I'm one of those. I'm weird. I like to learn little weird facts about everything. So
there's so many avenues today of information that's made available to people, whether that's YouTube, online sources where you have things like Masterclass, Skillshare.
Yes.
Places that are popping up that are becoming avenues for people to be able to hone skills.
100%. I think you can learn how to build a house on YouTube at this point.
Well,
it's pretty impressive.
Step by step, right? Even in your situation, you were talking about that, your course that you went through again.
Yes.
These are courses that probably somewhere down the line you could probably get to in an A&M. You could probably work your way over to it, but it's going to be a very small little window.
Correct.
Very small little piece. It's not going to be to certify you in a particular situation or to give you the knowledge that you've in stepping off. And I guess we can kind of move over a little bit, well, let's finish off. I want to talk a little bit because you talk about the entrepreneurship that ran in your family. Mm-hmm. Your family are immigrants here to the United States. Mm-hmm. And there's this natural born hustle that goes along with that and coming here for immigrants where they look at it. And it's not just the idea of I want to earn my keep being an American and coming here. It's, the American dream is laid out in front of you with you can be what you want to be and you got to work hard for it and you got to do all these things and it's not going to be given to you. Yeah. And so you talked about kind of being the back end recipient of parents who wanted the best for their kids, maybe not necessarily knowing how to balance that the best way possible, so now you're kind of finding yourself in that role of coming around to, I want a career that I can do something, still be able to, make good money and structure up a business that I can call my own, but also be able to set this platform up also that I can be present when I do have children and everything else in my life and give you an opportunity to be flexible, which was something that as hardworking immigrants and your parents having multiple businesses and everything else, flexibility is probably not a word used around the house.
It's like a joke. It's a laughing matter. Yeah. Yes. So I did mention, my parents are big in entrepreneurship. My mom is a cosmetic dentist who has a huge practice in Houston. And she's building a new office right now. Again, she's like older. She's still hustling, y'all. My dad, what a man. He had a 9-to-5 regular job in oil and gas, but he also built like 4 car washes on the side over 10, 15 years. He also has like rental properties.
Yeah.
In Panama, he's got, I mean, who knows, a grocery store, a gas station, who knows, many, many things, right? So yes, they are, I mean, I think my dad, he's almost got an obsession with entrepreneurship. So yes, when I say they did the American dream, they really did. They, you know, made it big, and they do incredible for themselves, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Very inspiring for me and my siblings. But yes, I would say that, you know, as parents, I don't think they were as present as they wish they could have been.
Sure.
But they did, you know, they did everything was for us. And we know that. We had an amazing live-in nanny who did not speak a word of English. Bless her heart, that lived with us for like 15 years, who literally walked us to school, made all of our meals, and, you know, did everything. But I think that, yes, I think now being an adult, and again, getting into college and getting to that age, meeting my significant other, realizing what I wanted my day-to-day to look like, I realized, you know, like ER is not what I want it to look like. Like, I want to be present. I want to do those stupid arts and crafts that you got to do with your kid at like 10:30 because they forgot to tell you that they had this poster board due tomorrow. That's going to be me.
Yeah.
It's fine. I've just decided that's going to be my life. Okay. I'm going to go buy them their glue sticks at 11 p.m. when they're in middle school because they're irresponsible and, you know, they procrastinate. That's fine. I mean, I just want to be present. I want to make them their lunches. I want to be on the floor with them. I'm going to regret that. I'm going to come back in 10 years and be like, please send me away. But yes, I basically realized, you know, I needed a lifestyle change. And I never in a million years thought that you could have, you know, a job like I have currently that can give you flexibility and entrepreneurship. So it's an awesome spot.
Just be cautious. I tell everybody I have a 10-year-old that is mirroring up everything that I do. My wife will constantly look at something my 10-year-old does and says, well, that's all you right there.
Again,
you know?
I'm telling you this. I'm in 10 years. Ask me how I feel. I'm going to be like, please take them away.
Is that ER job still available?
Again, please send me to a 9-to-5. These kids. No, I know that's going to be me. But yes, that is a very important part of, you know, how I've framed my what I'm doing with my life. So we'll see how it goes in a few years.
And so this brings us to the birth of Traction Digital Marketing. Mm-hmm. So you initially were doing this kind of on the side as an opportunity to be able to kind of make a little money. You realize that, hey, this is something that could really turn into something. And so for people who are out there, we'll start with Traction Digital as, you know, talking about what it is, you know, because if they're tuning in right now, they may have never even heard of it, don't have a clue what we're talking about.
That's all right.
They know everything about Annie at this point. So let's give them a glimpse at Traction Digital so they have an opportunity to kind of know what it is that you do. And then we can kind of start putting these pieces together for your business here.
Yeah. So I started Traction Digital Marketing, and I specialize in Facebook, but remember, Facebook owns Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram advertising. So what I tell people is when you're scrolling on your phone, when you're at work and you're on your phone when you shouldn't be, and you're scrolling through Facebook and a, you know, ad pops up that's pretty like specialized, like you probably just looked something up on Google the other day about, you know, hats, and now you got an ad.
Talked around your phone.
Yeah, you got an ad for hats now. Yes, that is what I do for small businesses. So I run Facebook ads, which is different than boosting posts, but we'll get into that. Facebook runs many different type of ads. You can run many different type of ads for different things. So, you know, brand awareness, more likes on your page. Facebook has ads for all of those things. I specialize in lead generation or conversion ads is what they're called on Facebook. So really my job is creating, working with the small business, creating an offer, making an ad with that offer, and then having clients or potential clients on Facebook seeing the offer, clicking on it, putting in their name, email, and phone number. My job is to then streamline that information to the small business owners where they can use that further in email marketing if they want to, in calling those people and getting, you know, a gym membership sale, whatever that small business does. That is the gist, the overall of what I do.
Yeah, lead advertisement and the opportunity to create or build a distribution list outside of social media, right? So we were talking before we went on air, and I had Dallas on the show, and Dallas kind of led a little bit of insight into, he says people focus a lot on, how many likes do I have on my Facebook page? How many followers do I have on my Instagram page?
Yes.
In the assumption that these are all going to turn into potential clients, potential business partners, potential sales, whatever their field is that they're looking for. And the reality of that is some people are just following it, or liking it or whatever because something popped up that they enjoyed or whatever the case may be. But you're really probably not driving these raving fans of that are turning into cash somewhere on the backside.
Correct. So my job is to really take, social media is a great place for advertising. That's why Facebook is such a powerhouse that it is, and it makes all of its money from advertising. So I say that Facebook and Instagram are a great place because so many eyes are on it, right. And it's a great place to get those eyes and move them over to, a small business so that they can have their contact information, put them, on an email list where you have their email forever now, right? And now on the back end, the small business can really do some geared advertising towards them. Facebook business pages are great. You should always have one. But yes, do likes on a Facebook business page generate sales? Not as hard as this generates sales, right? We're doing a full, very directed campaign. And once a small business can get that contact info and really run, more specific advertising, that's what helps. But again, social media, Facebook especially, is a great place to pull those people out of because there are so many. It's a sea of people. I mean, you've got every customer that you could ever want. They're there.
Well, and potential clients that you don't know even exist in the market, right?
Yes.
So if you're out there and you're working the process with a small business, you're not necessarily looking to work the process of let's see how many followers or likes we can get you on this deal. And most of the advertisements now, and we'll go into this here shortly, I guess, where we'll talk about the difference between like a Facebook boost and a Facebook advertisement, right? Like the differences between those two. But you're not necessarily looking to drive in the likes and the follows. You're looking at this being like, here's an ad that I'm going to run for your business, and it's going to say something to the effect of learn more, take advantage now. It's going to basically be something that's going to encourage them to click on that advertisement that then pushes them into whatever that's going to look like buy one, get one free.
Correct.
All we need you to do is put your information in here, and then we'll send you whatever, the coupon.
Correct, yeah. So I run more specific targeted ad campaigns or advertising campaigns. So correct. I'm not somebody who's in social media management, so I'm not going to post anything for you on your business page. I'm not going to answer messages that people send to your Facebook business page, nor am I, unless it's what you're looking for is to get more likes and comments on your stuff. That would be called brand awareness. I totally do that, those ads. What I recommend though, depending on the business, again, if you're a business that really heavily relies on brand awareness, then that makes sense, right? But I feel, I work with a lot of small businesses, mom and pop kind of shops here in College Station and Bryan. Those, you're right. Page likes and comments and shares don't necessarily transfer into sales, whereas these direct, very specific targeted ad campaigns will. So, for example, a carpet cleaning company, there's a ton in College Station, Bryan. If you run, an ad that says, and it's an offer. Normally I work with the business owner to create an offer. There's an offer for, hey, for the next. By
the way, that noise isn't anything for us. That's.
Oh, you're fine.
That's going on outside the door. I think I told somebody in a previous podcast that noise popped up on here, and that's us making a mistake somewhere that we're having to correct. That's money going out the window for us right there.
Perfect. We love to hear that. But yes, it's basically, an offer is going to pop up for carpet steaming. It'd be great if there was a video from the carpet steaming company that I could use that's going to say, hey, for the next 4 days, you can get your whole bedroom steamed for $45 or something. Click here, learn more, what have you. Then the button's going to take them to an area where it's going to put their name, email, phone number. They are going to claim that offer. So the carpet steaming company is going to go steam their room for $45 that one time. But now they've got, first of all, they've already used them. So they're likely to use them again if they do a good job. But most importantly, the business owner now has that person's contact information, and their email is key.
Right.
To put them on an email list. So during their slow months, carpet cleaning companies here have busy months because we're close to A&M. During their slower months where there's not a bunch of moving in, moving out happening, they can go back to these emails, make a beautiful email list, and, you know, start hitting hard with their marketing and start, you know, reminding people. I'm one of those. I think people, small business owners here, I think that they think that people don't need their services. What I always tell them, it doesn't matter if you think they need your service or not. I just met somebody who gave me their business card, and it was for pest control. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to hire you. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's like steam cleaning your carpets or pest control is one of those things, y'all, that I don't sit on my, like, it's not that I'm sitting on my couch and I like think I need it, but if I see it, I'm like, oh, I need that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not necessarily, of course, when I am moving out, I'm going specifically to look for a carpet cleaner. But if a carpet cleaner emailed me in the month of January and offered me a carpet steaming, I mean, I'm just one of those.
For $45.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why the heck not, right? And so I think pest control is the same thing. That business owner was a little surprised. And she, you know, I talked to her about Facebook ads, and she was like, I'm not sure. Like, pest control is just one of those things that people seek out when they need it. And I was like, I think you're wrong. Again, so many business owners think that about their service. You're wrong. Again, if it's something specific, like tree trimming, like when a tree is falling down, sure, that might be something that I only seek out in that time. But regular things around your house, like cleaning, pest control, AC, cleaning out your vents, whatever, stuff like that, like people will see if there's an offer, a good enough offer, people are going to take it.
Well, and things that are going to end up being repetitive, like it's not just going to be a one and done process. It's going to be something that they're going to need to reach back to multiple times.
Right.
In talking about the AIs that Facebook has set up, the targeted advertisement, yes, your phone does listen to you. Yes, it does collect cookies and things like that are
really,
then
again,
utilize those on the backside, right?
They know everything about you.
I mean, so if I'm sitting out there, let's say I'm sitting with my spouse, I'm like, gosh, I hate the way my house smells. These carpets are so dirty. And then the next thing you know, boop, here's a little carpet cleaning deal that pops up into your Facebook feed, right?
Yeah.
And so it has the ability to kind of target not just somebody who's verbally made some kind of deal or who's gone and searched it out or whatever. It can also be narrowed down to a window of people, you know, whether that's age related, income related. I mean, you can kind of move these things. You can narrow the needle down to where you're pointing to so that you're not just spraying advertisements everywhere and just bleeding cash on that.
Yes, great point. So that's the beauty of, first of all, digital marketing. And that's really the beauty of Facebook and their back-end technology that they have on that. So I like to say, you know, a billboard is a form of advertising.
Right.
A billboard is something you're spending money on, and that billboard ain't moving.
Right.
Like, people that pass it on the way home, they're going to see it. But you know what I mean? That person that's passing on the way home might be somebody who's who doesn't own a home, who is not looking for carpet cleaning right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't know who that person is that's passing by. The beauty of Facebook, and what I do is that I have the ability to sit down with the business owner and ask them, hey, who is your in a perfect world, who is the ideal client that walks through this door right now? How old are they? What's their male, female, what have you? What are they interested in? What's their income? In the perfect world, what's their income? So again, example, like the tree trimming is a great example. Somebody who owns a tree trimming company, you're looking for somebody who owns land, number one. If you're renting, you're not looking to get trees trimmed. You're looking for somebody who owns land, preferably like a larger plot of land.
Sure.
You're looking for somebody who's more established, probably has a good income to own a home, that kind of thing, right? Whereas if I'm doing something for a yoga studio, I might be targeting somebody who's, you know, a little bit younger, female, whatever, what have you. But Facebook has the ability to really target based on, area, based on the routes that they drive on a daily basis, based on net income, net worth, based on whether you own a home or not, based on your interests, based on, if you've ever on your Google looked up like hunting, now I know that you're into hunting.
Yeah.
Whether you like camo, they know, y'all. Again, not that I know. I can't look up a person and tell you what all your stuff is. Facebook knows, and we as advertisers have the ability to use their knowledge, their data, and use that as targeting. And again, the scary and beautiful part about Facebook and why it's a great place to advertise is the back-end technology and how smart Facebook is and is getting daily. So the longer you have an ad up and the more people click on the ad, Facebook's back end is looking at every single click they've gotten, and they're going to try and mirror those exact people that they've gotten to click. Now they're going to say, hey, this person clicked and she's a 22-year-old female who lives in this area and is interested in gymnastics and horses. They're going to go out Facebook's back end and is going to try and find a group that looks exactly like that customer. They're going to do that for every hit they get. So that's the beauty, when your money is going into something like that versus a billboard. It's just, again, the beauty of it is that back end, they're crazy targeting abilities. And yes, they do know everything about you. But for small businesses, it works.
It's a constant evolution for them too. It's not static in one place like what you were saying. Like if you're sitting there and you're looking through stuff, your phone, your computer, if you have a social media account, really even in some cases, if you don't have a social media account, I think most people think, Google, I think most people just think like, well, I can just delete this and that's fine. There's still a profile being built on everybody that utilizes, let's say, the internet. That's probably the best overall round, right? But if you look at things like, I watched The Social Dilemma, right, which is scary, at how much information is being collected. And there's this in the show, there's this part where they almost have like this it's like a little avatar thing that they're kind of building to show. Now that's not necessarily what they're doing, but it's kind of in that same process. They're building this little avatar,
exactly what they're doing.
And they're putting things in there, and these are hobbies, and this is job, this is this, and so it's building, and it's constantly looking to suck in information to build a more well-rounded profile of everybody that's utilizing.
That's 100% what it's doing. So yes, it's a good example.
So they know if you have animals, all of these little things that kind of pop in. I wonder sometimes when I'm scrolling through there, like I don't necessarily click on something, but then I think to myself, man, did I spend too much time with that just sitting right there?
Yeah, so they can see how much time you spend looking at one particular post
even though I'm not
ad.
looking at it.
Correct.
Like
then even, so on these ads, normally there's a button down below that says like, learn more or claim offer.
Right.
That, is a full-on click. But even at the top, when you're scrolling, it'll normally show you the first sentence of the ad, but to see the whole ad, the whole ad copy, you got to click on that to see more. You didn't click on the ad, you didn't click on learn more, you didn't click on claim offer, you're not putting in any information, but the fact that you literally clicked on that to read the rest of the ad, it generates, it tells me on the back end, hey, these are how many people clicked on just the ad portion to read the ad. These are how many people clicked on the claim offer button but didn't actually put their information. It tells you all of that. Yes, so they know how much time you're spending reading that. And again, it makes it smarter. They now have the ability to say, these people are more likely to click this. These people are more likely to click this. Target them this way. Again, terrifying. But for me, great.
Well, and it's so, the knock on social media as a social media platform, the knock on it is that it creates echo chambers of people who are like-minded, right? People who have the same thoughts and processes all pulled together. It's all being fed into what people are seeing on their social media, and then it distorts the image of what reality may be, right? Now, let's back that statement up and let's apply that into the advertising part of that. It literally is creating an echo chamber for the business to compile people into that chamber 100%. Who all have like-minded, likes, ideas, purchases, whatever that may be relevant to the business. And then here's this list of people, and then it can start reworking. And at any given point, it can kick out and kick in new clients, new potential leads, based on how you're changing it. Like you may go into the backside of something and you've agreed with a business owner, we're gonna promote this particular gym membership for this year. And so you go in there and then you start managing that piece. And you were talking about kind of in the beginning, you're not really getting true clarity into what it is that you're doing in the beginning. You need time in order to develop clarity.
Yes. So I like to tell businesses especially the first like 48, 72 hours, don't panic. Normally they're not with me looking at the back end, but Facebook, the algorithm and the back end of Facebook need a second to figure out who they're, I've guided it on who to target, but
Right.
Facebook does more than that. They do their own back end targeting based on who clicks on it. So they need a few days to figure out, hey, these people are clicking on it, these people are not. Let's change some stuff around. And so at that point, it's going to give me on the back end a large set of numbers, which again is going to tell me all the specifics. How many people clicked on just the ad copy to see the ad copy, but didn't click on the claim offer button? How many people clicked on the claim offer button, but didn't actually put their information in? How many people that were scrolling through their Facebook today, out of the 3 million people that we got in front of, how many people actually looked at the ad? All those things. So when I get those numbers, what I do at that point, my job is to look at each individual percentage that it's giving me and find out where we need to tweak it or
Right.
could be better. So if I see, the click-through rate, the number of people that are actually scrolling past the ad versus the number of people that click on the ad, the claim offer button or what have you, if that is a little bit low, then I'm probably going to change the image on the ad, something to grab your attention a little bit
Right.
more, right? I'm going to make the image pop a little bit more, or I'm going to make the headline of the ad in all caps or something, right? Something to grab your attention a little bit more.
Yeah.
If I realize that, hey, it's not the click-through rate that's the issue. We've got a pretty good amount of people clicking, but once they hit the claim offer part and ask for their information, they're stopping there, they're exiting out. So at that point, right, then I would go to that back end, I would go to that page and say, hey, what about this page that is asking for their information looks funky, right? I'm going to change it. I'm going to put in at the bottom, a privacy policies kind of thing, right?
Yep.
To say, hey, just so you know, your information is not being disclosed to
Sold,
anybody
right.
else. Yes, it's just going to this this business that you're trying to claim the offer for. So things like that where, yes, my job is to look at the back end and see kind of what needs tweaking, where it needs tweaking, and then let Facebook do its thing for another 24 hours. It'll kind of round up the information and it'll, you can go back and check the numbers then. And hopefully at that point, once you've tweaked everything, you've got the cost per lead that you would like. So the cost per person that you're actually selling is what you're looking for.
Yeah, and so you're bringing businesses into a market that may not necessarily be where they're comfortable. Talk about if you go out and if you're in sales, right? Like if your job is being in sales,
Mm-hmm.
you're typically in sales based on a strict number between how many leads are you getting and how many conversions are you making off those leads. I get 10 leads, I'm converting 2. I have
Correct.
a 20% conversion rate, right?
Yes.
And so it's kind of the same deal. It's forcing that up to these businesses that may have never even dealt in conversion rates for leads, that they understand what a lead is,
Mm-hmm.
they understand what a conversion rate is, but maybe, in the sales industry, you're being evaluated on it, you're being mentored on it, you're being accounted to it. If the industry standard is 20% close rate on leads that come through and you're at 10, somebody's having a conversation with you, right? And so to that same standpoint, you are almost kind of like this little virtual, I don't want to say virtual boss, but really kind of an accounting.
I break these things down.
Yeah, you're an
Right.
accountability person to that.
Yeah.
Go, listen, this is where we're at with what it is. It may be that you can see, like you said, you can see how many people engage with the post in whatever format or fashion. Did they want to see more of the wording? Did they click to learn more? Did they
Right.
fill out the deal? But you can also be there to go, okay, let's talk about what your lead generation is. If your lead generation, like we garnered out of this particular deal, we garnered out of 600 people that flowed through this thing, we garnered 10% leads. So we had 60 people that were out of that. How many people then on the backside here are turning into sales for you? And what's
so
the
that's
conversion out of 60?
Yep, that's a great point. So what I normally find is with small businesses, mom and pop shops around Bryan College Station, most entrepreneurs aren't salespeople.
Right.
That's not their everyday job.
No.
That's not what they're here for. That's not what they're doing, which is very fair. And so, yes, my job, again, my initial job is to get them those leads. Now, I always tell small businesses, I cannot do the back end for you. You know what I mean? Once I get you that person's information, it's up to you, the business owner, to sell that lead that I got you. And so, yes, I do. My main job is obviously getting them the leads, but I definitely mentor clients on how to handle, leads when they get them and how to follow up with leads. Following up with leads is really crucial and really important. The amount of time it takes them to follow up with a lead can be make or break. Yes, I definitely coach small businesses on, hey, I'm streamlining all these phone numbers, emails to you, whatever. I want you to make it a goal of yours to call these leads that I'm giving you within 24 hours. If you're past that 24-hour mark, the carpet steaming that they saw for $45, they might have talked to their husband. Who knows what happened, okay? Their schedule might have changed. You know what I mean? You want to hit them as fast as possible. So I do, try and coach small businesses that I'm working with on lead follow-up, because you're right. If I'm looking at everything on the back end for me and the ad is doing well and I'm generating a lot of leads, but I say, hey, in the last month, I've generated you 100 leads. How many of you actually sold? And they tell me a very small number. I'm going to say, okay, nothing, not reprimanding, but hey, now that I see the problem isn't the ad. The ad's running great. We're generating leads. The problem now that we need to focus on is selling the leads. And so that's a whole nother thing. But yes, you're very, very right in that.
Well, and your goal here is, bring the horse to the water. You got to have the water provided and make sure that it's available when they're ready to drink, right?
Correct.
And so, and that's not where your platform is at, that once you bring the horse to the water, well, let me go fetch the water for you and do all this other stuff. It's, I can only bring them to you, and then what you choose to do with them at that point becomes your choice.
Yes, I bring them to you, and again, I definitely mentor you in what to do when they come to you, and I coach you, and I offer recommendations, and I give you a pretty guided, lead generation follow-up system. So, hey, have your employees call them within this amount of time. Here's a script that you can tell. I mean, I do coach them, but again, at times, there's only, you know what I mean? There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
If I brought them to the water and you simply aren't putting water in there, then
that's a big problem. You know
what I mean? Yep.
Well, and businesses today, so new startup businesses or people who are younger entrepreneurs that are coming into the business tend to embrace social media advertising as just a natural part of advertising for business, right? Mm-hmm. The challenge is when you're 20, 30-year business that's established long before the internet became a thing and all this other stuff, long before there was social media, and your advertising dollars were spent in TV, radio, print, and those are now becoming dying breeds. You're seeing more advertisements rolling onto social media, rolling onto platforms like Pandora, Spotify, where what was radio before, live radio, which is the only time people are typically listening to live radio is they're in front of a radio, right? And Pandora, Spotify, some of the streaming radio services and things like that give the opportunity at any given time in any given place, whether that's in the car, at the house, at the office, in an airport, on somebody's, whatever. You could be at Disney listening to it or whatever. And so this is kind of an always-on platform, just like social media is. It's an always-on platform that's always readily available.
Yes.
And so the older generation of business owners who are uncomfortable in that realm then are the ones that typically tend to seek out people who are more knowledgeable about it. Mm-hmm. But then it creates a new avenue of work that maybe they've never been accustomed to. Like lead generation, for some businesses, they're sitting there looking at it like, okay, lead generation for me is if I ran an ad on TV and somebody would call me. Like, again, emailing and all these other things, if you've been in the business for a long period of time, emailing may have not been a thing. It might have just been like somebody picks up the phone and calls you, or they stop by the shop.
Yep.
And so these avenues that are now coming in as other parts of the business to manage look like things like instant messengers, where it's coming off of social media, it's coming through a reply to a post, it's coming to something that they have to constantly be engaged in and working with in order to embrace the whole piece. If you're not actively involved in your social media account, and then somebody goes out and hires you to do a social media ad, they're probably going to let a lot of stuff fall through the cracks in that process.
So, kind of, sort of. So, I tell people you don't need to. Again, I mentioned that I'm not a social media manager, so I'm not going to be the one that's posting from your business page every day. I'm not going to be the one answering all these messages. So I tell people, first of all, for me to do my job, you have to have a Facebook business page. There's no getting around that, unfortunately, or else I can't use the platform to advertise for you. That being said, do you have to be somebody who's posting every day on your Facebook business page? No, not necessarily, because I'm not really using your page to do the ad. I'm using the back end of Facebook, and your page's name is going to be at the top of the ad. But you don't necessarily, again, that's the beauty of the thing that I specialize is lead gen and conversion ads, is taking those people from the Facebook platform, getting their information and pulling them off of that platform and giving them to you. So, I mean, would it help? Maybe. If you're more active on your social media, definitely,
maybe,
you gotta.
Maybe active is not the appropriate word. Let me put it in terms of, let's say you run an ad and it runs through there, and you can see these regularly. You can roll through your page right now and find one where you see an ad that has 1,000 comments on the ad, right? Somebody has to be engaging with those people that are working within the ad too. Like they're sitting out there, and maybe it's just that they went in there, they commented, and they tagged a friend or someone that they know. Hey, I know somebody who's interested in this, so they go to at Sally Joe and tag Sally Joe out, and then the next thing you know, you're sitting out there, and you could see some of those things kind of naturally even occurring within the comment section without it even being something that's being engaged by learn more, apply now, take advantage, whatever if they're hitting the button. But if somebody's in there, there are also time frames where you will see people reply with a question. So
at that point, it is really good if a business owner is more can engage with them more on social media. I tell people, is it a deal breaker if you're not necessarily. I can still do my job. Is my job easier if you are more engaged like that with your customer base on social media? Yes, it is, but not to say that people that have been in their business for a long time before this was a thing, not to say that, people who aren't on Facebook and Instagram all day, every day can't do this. You definitely can. Just because you're not comfortable in it, I totally get it. Doesn't mean that it's not the powerhouse of advertising today, because it is. And as you said earlier, print and radio and TV, all those things are dying down. So as a business owner, you've got to look at where is your money being best spent? And that's with the billboard example. That's my best example, is that you can throw money into a billboard. But why would you do that when we have this crazy thing called the internet now, and Facebook and the AI and all the technology they have on the back end? Your money's just going to get further because it has all these crazy, scary things. So do you need to be an internet wizard to do it? No. I have to be an internet wizard to do it. But, does it help? Definitely. I think it helps if, the more you know and you're more engaging.
It should help you re-engage on the backside as well, too, with that business if they're somewhat knowledgeable as to what it is.
It helps.
Now, granted, if you say, "Listen, I'm going to send you a list of leads that are going to come in with their name, phone number, and email address to them," what you choose to do with that's up to you.
Correct. So some people like calling better. I am one of those people. Cold emailing, y'all, a nightmare. Sorry, that's just not something I have to advertise my own business. So, and I have to get clients for my own business. So emailing is not my favorite thing. I present better in person than I do on paper. That's just me. So, what I do as a business owner, I prefer to call people. But again, you can do it either way. For business owners, I always tell them, use your strength. If you're better on the phone, pick up the phone, or if your front desk girl is good on the phone, have her get these leads that I'm sending you and call them within 24 hours. If you prefer to email, if you prefer to text, that's all up to you. You can do any route that you want to go. I always just say, use your best one and find your strength. Again, I just know mine is not emailing.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not in the business of providing extended warranties for cars. Otherwise you're calling people and the first thing they're waiting for is, that we've been trying to reach you about your car's warranty. So as you are walking a business owner through the process, getting them leads, and then they're turning around utilizing that. Now you're also going month to month with that business owner as well too, going over recap, because you're talking about, you normally are recapping with them weekly.
Yeah, so I normally do a weekly update, recap of we can pick a day, whatever you want, but I normally do like Monday mornings, Tuesday mornings, what have you, of, hey, this is how much you spent on ads in the last week. These are how many leads you got in the last week. This is the conversion rate. This is the cost per lead that we're hitting. Or I definitely, again, good thing about me, well, I think it's a good thing. Some people think it's a good thing. Some people don't. I happen to be like one of the most direct, blunt people ever. I work on it, but good thing about me being direct and blunt is normally if something's not going right, like if I look at an ad and I'm like, ooh, that number's not right, I'll send that in the weekly report, or if it's in the middle of the week, I'm going to send you an email in the middle of the week and say, hey, just so you know, this number right here, it's a little wonky. I got to change some stuff. Let me tweak it, and I'll get back to you in 24 hours, whatever, however long it takes Facebook to figure it out. So yes, in the weekly reports, if everything's going well, it's just a weekly report saying, hey, this is what we've gotten. And I'll probably ask in the weekly report, how many leads have you converted over? Just so that I have an idea, making sure we're still profitable. Because if we're not, then again, I got to go back to the ad and tweak some stuff to make it profitable for the business. That's my job. But yes, if anything ever, again, the ad there's some numbers on the ad in the back end that are looking a little wonky. I definitely always let clients know that, just because I think in my eyes, I always say it's better to be upfront, better to explain what you're doing. If something's going wrong, let the people know. Again, normally works out better. Whereas, if I wait a week and do the weekly report and say, hey, sorry, this went wrong.
Well, and business owners who don't they're not normally involved in their social media marketing, or they're not watching those numbers or whatever, at least on the back end side of it, you can see by sales tickets that you're doing within your organization whether or not there's a trend up or a flat or a decrease, right? Yeah. I mean, if you can't identify those as a business owner, you probably should not be running a business. I mean, those are the very basics part of running a business. P&Ls, you'll be able to see where your profitability ends up coming in on the backside of everything that you're paying out, along with what you're bringing in. But ideally, I mean, even in our own business, we can come in and we know day to day what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We know year over year, so if I look at today versus the same day last year in 2020, then I should be able to identify I had an X% increase in business, right? And so it's really that same deal for people who internally that are looking to hire you for your services can identify the uptrend of that based on watching the leads come in. They're doing their due diligence on the leads and then seeing, okay, do we see increases in business based off of that? And that's really where you got to look at things. I was telling you earlier when we were sitting down that, we use social media management firm to do our stuff. And then we started realizing like we're putting in a lot of the effort for it. We're doing on the backside. But I think even as an established business at that time, you're looking at it going, if I'm putting out X dollars, then I want to see a return on that investment. Yeah. And a lot of the times there's an unfortunate amount of pressure that's placed in on the business that's handling it for you, and not necessarily the full line connection between, like we said earlier, I can bring the horse to the water. You got to have it all available. So it's all a playing field. Yeah, it's a playing field that both sides are working on.
Yes.
And so you need that partner on that other side that's going, not necessarily like they're sitting out there going, listen, man, let's keep grinding at this. It'll eventually work itself out. You almost need that partner that's there is like, listen, man, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings here, but you got to do the work too.
Yeah, no. Again, I think that that's the area where it helps to get along with the person that you're working with, the person I'm working with, they get along with me. And again, it helps to have good communication skills and similar forms of communication. Right. I'm a pretty direct, blunt person who's just going to tell you how it is when it happens, right? Because I think it's your right to know. It's your business. You're paying me. Yeah. So I am that way. The good thing, though, that you mentioned about the ads that I do and Facebook and digital marketing in itself is that you are putting in money and you want a return on your investment. These ads show you exactly what you're getting. You know to the T what you're getting. Whereas if you have a print ad somewhere, a billboard, ad on the radio, you can't really tally the number of people that you're really getting to come in due to this freaking billboard that you have. You know what I mean? For me, I can tell them, hey, you spent X amount of money on this ad. This is how many people clicked. This is how many people put their info. This is how many leads I got you. These are how many you sold. It's a very in-your-face, matter-of-fact way of doing advertising where you see exactly what you're getting for your money.
Right.
So again, I think that's a pro about it. I think a lot of business owners that do it, you know, that's a nice thing for them to be able to, count, you know, is this worth it for them? Is their money being spent well? And it's, you know, gives them a little bit of rein to come back and tell me, hey, sorry, right now, we need more. We need more leads, or we need the cost per lead to be less. Can you tweak the ad? I can do that. I can go in on the back end, tweak the ad. There's some things that I can do that can make the ad, bring the cost per lead down, and hopefully, you know, make it profitable for them. So it's definitely adjustable, which is a beautiful thing about it. Whereas again, some other types of advertising are not as adjustable.
Content is also another piece of that equation. Like we were talking again before we went on air, it seems that more people tend to interact or stop and watch video or very vibrant photos, something that's outside of the norm. If I'm scrolling, especially, so we've talked a lot about Facebook. I mean, we can flip over to the other side of that, which is Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, in Instagram, you really have to have something spectacular to get somebody to stop on, right? I mean, Instagram is not working based off of wording. You know, it's
You're
all
looking at
pictures,
right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to have?
Yeah, something has to like grab your attention as you're going through. And I think again in the beginning of that process, and your goal is to put together again content, but you're not necessarily the full-blown content creator.
Yeah, so I'm not a content creator for your business page, but of course I do create content because I'm creating these ads, and I do need to know, you know, what is going to grab attention enough to where, again, the regular person that's scrolling through Facebook that's going to see this ad, I promise you, they're in their cubicle working their 9 to 5, they're hiding from their boss on their phone. That's just the truth of it. So, you know, what is going to grab their attention? That is definitely part of my job. So picking, you know, or writing good ad copy, right? Picking good images that don't look like stock photos, right? Don't look like your typical stock photo, because that normally gives people weird vibes. They think it's a scam. Yeah. So getting, you know, authentic photos. If I'm working for, you know, a business that deals with people, especially like gyms. Gyms are a great example. There's a million stock photos I can use of gyms, which totally could work if I choose the right ones. But it's great when I can get gyms to say, hey, can you take a picture for me of your 6 a.m. class when they're all sweaty after their workout? Those images that, you know, are a little bit more intimate normally perform better. Videos perform great, especially when it's like something satisfying. Again, carpet steaming is a great example for that. Videos of carpet steaming are fantastic because you visually see it happening. Your business, you do logo and you make shirts. Videos of that process is what makes people stop. So those things really do help. And then again, some crazy weird back end that Facebook has. There's something that Facebook has on the back end that you can implement into an ad. It's called Dynamic Creative Optimization. It's DCO, where you make an ad for Facebook like I normally would, but instead of doing a normal ad, I'm going to give them actually like 5 to 10 options. So I'm going to give them 5 to 10 images or videos, what have you, 5 to 10 different types of ad copy, 5 to 10 different headlines, right? And I'm going to put this all in one ad, turn on DCO, Dynamic Creative, and Facebook, when they advertise to certain people, they know based on, they've looked at how long you spend looking at things and how long you spend reading things. They know, hey, this person on, you know, Annie on her iPhone, she likes videos more. So let's hit her with the video that they provided, and they can do it. But for you, if you're sitting right next to me and we're looking at the same ad, you might not get what I'm getting because they might say, hey, he likes pictures better and a big headline for his copy. They're going to hit that to you. So again, it's so scary how they know even what ads you like better, what things make you stop. Facebook knows that. And so that's the, again, brilliant part about what they do and why they're such an advertising powerhouse.
Well, there's so many other things that outside of, you know, we talk about like what you look at on your phone, things that you say around your phone or whatever. I know when we were doing it as a business, one of the things we learned about geofencing, which was, taking and putting something around a particular area that maybe somebody comes and visits your business. Whether they buy, they don't buy, whatever the case may be, as soon as they leave, then there's this targeted ad that's sent back to them because they've crossed through this geo-fenced area that says, on your next visit, get X. You're already prepping that client for the
Coming
next
back.
visit in,
Yes.
right? As a repeat, especially if you have like a retail front, a food front,
Yes.
some kind of a service industry front.
Right.
that you're-
Restaurants, bars are great for
that you can quickly kind of get something pushed back out as soon as they leave, and they're like, oh, well, heck, I'll be back tomorrow then,
Right.
or whatever. So let's talk about some things. Let's start with things that small business owners should know if they're handling their own social media.
Good question.
Social media marketing. Let's talk about some things that they should know, things that are working against them, maybe things that maybe they think they're doing that maybe they could either tweak a little bit, not necessarily in this role here. Like while we're talking about your business or whatever, I think this is a good opportunity to be able to kind of share nuggets of knowledge to small businesses who are out there who maybe don't understand the process as well.
Yeah.
That are things that maybe they're doing and they think I'm doing this and I'm not seeing anything off of it.
Yeah.
What are some things you can kind of speak to some of those small businesses that would help them?
Yeah, so a good or a common question that I get, or sometimes when I approach people and I tell them what I do, they're like, oh, I do that, boosted posts. So boosted posts are a big thing in Facebook, and there's a big difference between boosted posts and what I do, which is Facebook ads. So boosted posts have their place. They are good for certain things. You just got to know what to use them for. So basically a boosted post is an organic post that you have written from your business page. It can have a picture if you want, but it's not an ad. So there's no button that says claim offer or what have you. There's no putting in information. It's a post that you want more people to see. So you're looking for engagement with these posts. You want the post itself to get more likes, more comments, more shares, and that can help with your brand awareness and getting your name out there.
Right.
So boosted posts do have a place in that area. You just have to understand that you're only boosting this one post. And when you do that, Facebook is going to give you a very baby format of targeting, not as much as we get on our back end doing ads, but it'll give you, a very generic light targeting options. And what Facebook is going to do with that boosted post is the people that already follow you or your customer base already, the post that you made is going to pop up higher up on their newsfeed. It's something that they're going to see quicker. They're not going to have to scroll too long for them to see your post. So number one, it's going to do that. Number two, it's going to, with the baby targeting that you chose, it's going to try and find you some new clientele, people that don't follow you yet, people that aren't your customers yet, and show them this one post, which again, good things for that is getting your name out, brand awareness, more likes and engagement on that one particular post. What boosted posts are not good for, and what you shouldn't be doing, is doing it all the time. You're throwing your money away boosting every single post that you do, because again, as we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, engagement and getting a lot of likes on a post or comments on a post or likes on a page doesn't always transfer into sales.
Right.
And it's really hard to figure out how many are transferring into sales. So it's kind of a gray area. I would say that boosted posts are great for businesses that are just getting started. I would say that it's great for like events. Like if you're planning an event and you're trying to get the event out there, boosted posts are great for that. Easy. Boosted posts are great if you're a small business that's not ready to fully invest in marketing yet. Great for that. Boosted posts are great if you're on a smaller budget. Again, if you're a small business that's not ready to do a whole ad campaign, good. But yes, I would say that that's the number one thing that I get asked about. Secondly, is social media content and content creation. So I think that there's two options. I get a lot of small businesses that you can either create content that's trying to stop somebody in their tracks and grab their attention, or you can be on the other side of content creation where you're really just doing it so that when somebody thinks about your business, they can go and click on your page and they can see, hey, this person's active, they're posting stuff that looks like they know what they're talking about. You're sharing information, right? But I'm not necessarily trying to stop people in their tracks.
Right.
So again, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep hitting on this person. They're just a great example. I saw somebody ask, they had pest control company and they were asking for advice on their content creation. And they had made a post, a very long post with a bunch of information. And she was asking like, hey, is this post okay? And is it going to make people stop and read it? And I was like, let me be honest with you. People aren't going to stop and read that on a regular Tuesday while they're in their desks because they're not, in this moment in time, there's no offer that's grabbing their attention and they're not looking for pest control. Why would they read a whole post on your business page about pest control? Doesn't matter, because when somebody does need your pest control and they go to your page, they're going to see that you know what you're talking about, right? You've built some sort of repertoire with them. You've shown your knowledge. So content creation is great in that way, and you should be doing that so that when somebody does want your services or goes to your page, they can see that you know what you're doing. You're a reputable source. Again, you've got stuff on there that it presents you in a friendlier way. It doesn't necessarily have to, don't think about it as an ad, basically. It doesn't have to be something that stops people in their tracks. Every time you make a post,
Right.
They have to stop and they have to read it. Don't think about it like that. It makes you very anxious. Whereas, yes, content creation can just be something to build your page and show, when somebody is interested, show that you're knowledgeable in what you're doing is really important. So I would say, right, unless it's an ad, focus less on stopping people in their tracks and, just building a page that shows that you know what you're doing, you're knowledgeable in the area, and that's.
So when you're hired in and you start going through, let's say that business says, "Hey, look, Annie, we've been here, done that. I've tried to do this, I've tried to do that. I've boosted post, I've ran an ad, I've done all these things," which those all keep histories on, right? I mean, it's not like that stuff just disappears. So when you go in there and you go, okay, well, you said you ran an ad. Let me take a look at that.
Yeah,
or let's
for sure.
go back through this and see kind of what you put up. Let me see the picture you put up with it. Let me see what the content and the wording was that you put up to it. Like, tell me what it was that you were trying to accomplish here or whatever. So what do you see when you walk in there that businesses have made mistakes on in previous times? I mean, like, somebody's maybe listening to this going, well, I boost stuff and I put ads up and it's been okay. What are you typically seeing on the backside walking into that and going, okay, if we'd have probably done this, or maybe if this had changed,
Right,
what are
good
those
question.
things that you see?
So normally boosted posts are not something that I'll go in on the back end and look like, hey, you did this wrong. They're just very basic. I say they're like the do-it-yourself version of what I do. They're friendly and they're approachable. Facebook ads, honestly, I wouldn't call them friendly or approachable. They can be pretty intimidating, and there's a lot on the back end that you kind of need to know. Not to make the ad itself. You need to know stuff on the back end when Facebook reports back to you, because the thing is that you normally at that point you got to tweak stuff, and if you don't know what to tweak, that's when business owners need help or messed up. Is not necessarily making the ad. Anybody can write a post, some copy, and put a picture up, right? And Facebook will let you do that as long as you pay them. Facebook will let you do that. But again, it's after that. It's, hey, after the first 3 days, look at this number right here. This click-through rate, the number of people that actually scrolled past your ad and actually clicked on it, is not where you need the number to be. So at that point, you should have gone and changed the ad copy. You should have gone and changed the headline, or you should have gone and changed the image, or something of that nature. That's usually the point where businesses are like, okay, I need somebody's help, right? I need to know. It's knowing what part of the ad you need to tweak. When you get all of those numbers back, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So
or how quickly to respond in an ad so that I let this thing run 2 weeks and
2 weeks is too long. See, that's my point.
Yeah.
Yes, you just need to know how long does Facebook actually need.
Right.
2 to 3 days is plenty of time, but not the first day is not. The first day your numbers are going to be wacky. Let Facebook do its thing.
Right.
It's a smart machine. You got to give it a second. But yes, 2 weeks, no ma'am. You got to hit it sooner than that. But
so
yes.
the other part that with us stepping outside and contracting a company that did our now granted this was social media managing for us, right? But one of the things about that, one of the things that people tend to struggle with is the trends, the algorithms there are things that are in constant motion that are always moving. And literally there are people whose jobs are, we were talking about like in the certification class where you went and spent money to learn about how to do this and everything else. There's groups in there, there's people that are in there that really their jobs are to keep track of what these algorithm changes are, what these trend changes are. Like there's motion, there's constant motion in social media, right? It's never think of it as it's just a platform that's just sitting there waiting for you to use it.
No, it's constantly always changing.
Like I referred to the social dilemma earlier, where its goal is to figure out how to get you to engage with it. And each time you engage with it, that the amount of time you're spending on it is bigger. And so when it notices that you're not engaging on it where you were before, that it is working some redirect backside to get you re-engaged back with using it again. So it's really kind of the same thing when these trends and algorithms hit. It's important to have a business in your side, and that partner that you've teamed up with that is able to keep up with those trends, with those changes in the algorithms. We were talking about like what are the things that move the needle for people, right? And it's not necessarily that just because video moves the needle for these groups doesn't necessarily mean it's what moves the needle for this group, Correct, and so kind of knowing what it is that hits those emotional points for people sometimes, or hits those reactionary points of like, well, that's interesting, I've never seen that before, or what is this all about? It's like mystery content where they kind of vaguely kind of veil a little bit of what they have going on there, but it's just enough to get you, like you said earlier, to go, well, what's the see more thing? Let me click on the see more so I can see what else is posted here. So it's the idea of building content, but also being able to recognize that the content has to be evolving and changing along with the algorithms and the trends.
Yeah. So I would say, again, even if you're thinking of doing social media advertising of any kind, even if you're not looking to do what I specifically do, which is only Facebook and Instagram ads, if you're looking to do that, it's very important to feel that the person you're working with is going to roll with the punches, roll with the waves, and not be static, because in this business, things change all the time. Facebook, I know, changes their policies all the time. They change like, hey, you can't have these words in your ad anymore. You can't say you in your ad anymore, okay? That happens. The person you're working with, you need to be confident that they're going to be able to adapt, and they're going to be on top of those things. So for me, I kind of told him in the beginning, but yes, I invested in a course, almost like college, like a college class, but a few college classes, honestly, to learn how to do this. And because I'm, an independent person running this business, it's just me. I don't have employees. I'm not an agency, which I think there are pros to that. But one of the cons to that is when things change, it's just me. I got to roll with those punches. So something that I do to kind of help with that and keep me on top of everything is I'm part of a coaching group. I pay these people to be in a coaching group. They're mentors. So when things change, again, you said it correctly, is that some of their jobs as coaches are literally just to keep up with what's changing and coach us who are under them. Hey, this is what's changing. This is what you need to know. So again, for me, that's how I keep up with everything. I do pay a coaching group to be able to come back to these people if something's changing a lot and it's a little bit confusing. I have these people to lay back on. Whereas in big advertising agencies, there's normally somebody that they pay in that agency to keep up with that, right? So with somebody like me who's small, I don't have employees, this is what I do to keep up with that. But it's very important no matter where you're advertising, who you're advertising, even if you're not using me or if you're not using, what I do in particular, Facebook and Instagram ads, it's important that, yes, how your agency or how the person you're working for is going to be able to roll with those punches.
Yeah, and unfortunately in the world, like this is what the group that I used earlier with managing our social media, they started off really small and they were great. I mean, like super attentive.
Yes.
Anything I needed, boom, Johnny on the spot. Can we change this? Bam, done. Here, I got this new deal that just came out. I sent you a picture of it. Can you put that up? Absolutely. Boom, done. And then they got bigger.
Yep.
And then they got bigger
Yes.
and bigger and
Yes.
bigger. And so I think when we started out, we might have been number 5 on their client list.
Right.
And literally within a year, they were over 100 clients.
Wow. Yeah.
You
So
know?
they really, yeah. So I would say that, yes, but people that I approach or people that approach me, you know, it can be a little off-putting, I would say, maybe not the right word, that it is only me. I don't have employees.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge agency. And, you know, it hasn't been a relatively long time that I've started doing this all in. Like
Right.
now, this is my full-time job, right? So this is what I do now, but very fair concern that I haven't been doing this for 15, 20 years. Very fair. What I like to tell people is that the pros about me and the position that I'm at is that this is all I do, friends.
Yeah.
I got all the time in the world, and I'm not an agency, and I don't have 15 clients that I'm running ads for every single day, right? I have a few, which means that I'm attentive. I'm also just in the way that I communicate upfront and direct.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to say, like, call me at 2 a.m., some boundaries, but for the most part, like, I'm very readily available.
Right.
Like, you can really, again, if you need something or you need to change something or you want to give me a new picture, I'm pretty much always here. That's the good thing about I don't have like business hours on a landline for my business phone number. Like, you know what I mean? My number is my cell. So.
But in starting up small, a business that chooses to bring you in as a partner to help them with this and running ads for them, they're going to run in and they're going to get any face value, and you know, here's what you get. And so then the concern becomes, hey, this works great. You know, Andy's doing a great job for me. Word now gets around, Andy's doing a great job for a bunch of businesses. And then it becomes, okay, Annie's going over there all of a sudden going, I can't do all this by myself.
Yeah.
And while I'm sure you'd love the idea of having 100 clients.
Love that problem.
Yeah.
But
100 clients at, you know, X number of dollars per client per month. But all of a sudden now, as you bring more people in, and it's a little bit different probably for the advertisement side of it, since that would be strictly kind of where your footing would be.
Yes.
In the social media marketing side, we saw a change in how our ads looked.
Right, probably your content, your
because
posts
who's
and how
creating
attentive.
the content was not the person doing it in the beginning.
Correct. No.
And
that's a fair
it's not
concern.
it's not structured out to be like, okay, here's our templates. This person was phenomenal with words in how they were starting out, but then we started seeing this transition
Other
of what they
people.
look like
Right.
because somebody else was writing it who didn't have the
Yes.
same skill set.
Yes, I would say yes. At this point in my business, clearly I'm not at that point.
Right.
The good thing, again, about the situation that I'm at and the coaching group that I have is that there are, again, I'm in a group of people that do this for a living. So I've honestly seen, I think in the last like 2 months, people think it's crazy, but it's not, it's fair. I've seen people in my group say, hey, I'm honestly maxed out on clients. I have 3 other ones that are here. They already want the thing that we're selling.
Right.
But I can't take them on. Does anybody in the group want to take them on? And so, you know, that's a thing.
Yeah.
But also, again, I have a lot of people, luckily, that do the same thing for a living. They're in a group, and I communicate with them a lot, which is really helpful because I know I can look at them and say, this is the point where these people in my group have decided to LLC their thing, have decided to create an agency, have decided to hire an employee or 2. Honestly, a lot of the employees they've hired are in the group. So we took the same course, right?
Yeah.
We have the same coaches.
Yeah.
We're in the same, that's helpful. So I'm definitely not at that point yet. Right now, again, a beautiful thing is that I have a lot of time and I can be very attentive, and it's just me, and I don't have 100 clients. So
I think that's important for businesses. I mean, we were talking about, are there other businesses in the market that do what you do? The answer to that is yes.
Yes.
The second part of that, though, is bigger's not always better.
Correct. Agencies will definitely charge. I am amazed at how much agencies can charge.
Right.
I don't, to create ads, the same job that I do.
But not just that, the idea that in starting small, there's a lot more hustle and drive in starting small.
Is, yes.
And a lot more attention and attentiveness from that business owner when they know, listen, man, my name is riding on this, my reputation is riding on this,
Definitely.
and so getting in at small level, even if that's just test trial, it's not necessarily that somebody comes to you and says, hey, Annie, I'm thinking about doing this. you're not over there going, okay, well, I need you to sign this year-long commitment with me.
No. Okay. So that's a great point that you brought up. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. I've talked to a bunch of people, the carpet cleaner that I talked to, he mentioned that he does like Google ads and he works with an agency, and you have to sign a minimum like 1-year contract.
Right.
I am small. I am not an agency. I do not do a minimum time that you need to run ads with me. I don't care if you run them for a month and then stop and then come back a month, whatever. So yes, I do not have any contracts that you need to sign with me. There's no minimum amount of time. Yeah. I will recommend, again, Facebook, the longer it can keep its hands on an ad and learn, the better the ad normally runs. So I will recommend, just basic knowledge of what I know from Facebook and how it works. But no, yes, you do not have to have a minimum amount,
Well, it gives a business an opportunity to test the waters on it. It's
Definitely.
Not necessarily like a full-blown commitment.
Scary. Yes, it's not a 1-year thing that you're going to have to be paying me every month, whether you want to or not. That's not how this works. So yes, that is helpful.
So in staying in front of the curve of all the changes and everything else going on, then that also gives you the luxury to bring those changes forward to the business owner. Mm-hmm. Hey, wanted to let you know we're running this ad. This has generated a lot of traction for you, but there's a change coming down the chute here.
Right, and this is what we're going to be doing about it.
That we're going to have to adjust, and here's how we're going to have to adjust it. Here's why we're adjusting it. Here's how we're going to adjust it.
Yes.
We were talking about, in things that we've run as a business when we were trying to generate more likes, more followers, that the most common way to do that in the business was to be able to give something away, right? You give something away, all of a sudden, man, people get excited about that kind of stuff.
Giveaways are a good.
We literally had one giveaway that I think got us, and it was a short window for a giveaway, but it was like, I think we ended up with like 1,300 or 1,400 new followers just in a very small window.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you're like, oh, this works great. And so then you don't want to go right on top of the other one. You give a little bit of time. But then we noticed when we ran the second one, we're like, man, it didn't work as well. Like, well, that's a little weird. Like this first one was like, bam, bam, bam. This feels like this is even a better product than what we had before. And you're going through, and we did the what do I say? Like, share, comment, and tag whatever,
tag
3 people or whatever. And then, we'll know that you're done, and then we'll put you in the group, and then we'll draw and get the person, right? And now you go in there and try and do that, and your ad will get taken down right away. Because it's like they know. I mean, again, that AI that you're talking about on the backside is going, hey, you generated a lot of likes off of that. We feel like we probably could get paid for that.
Should charge you for that. Yeah. Correct. Yes. So again, the back end of Facebook, yes, there's always things changing. Again, they pop up sometimes and say, hey, you can't use these words in your ad anymore. And it's words like THE, like literally any like personal attributes, stuff like that, right? So yes, it is. Things change all the time. It is important to know, what those things are, how to be ahead of those things. And again, working with an agency, you're probably, the agency's probably going to know about it. Will they reach out to you specifically and say, hey, this is changing and this is what we're going to do about it? Probably not. They're just not as you know what I mean? They've got a lot of clients. They're not as personal. What I do, again, the good thing about where I'm at is that the way I stay ahead of all those curves is, again, I pay to be in a coaching group. Right. And I have a lot of people that I can rely on that do this. And then again, because I have a lot of time and I am more personal with my work, I always pretty much, reach out. If there's a big change coming, I'll say, hey, just so you know, this big change is coming on Facebook. They're changing their policies. This is what it means for you. It should affect you like this. It should not affect you like this. This is what we're going to do differently.
Lending more credibility to the idea that if you're trying to do this thing on your own and you're not keeping up with that, then all of a sudden you see, you're looking at your backside metrics, and then you see those metrics just completely tank out, and you're like, what happened?
What the heck is happening? Yes.
Yeah, so
it's definitely helpful to have somebody who knows.
So somebody in your corner that's keeping track of that stuff can then identify it before you reach the
blank
bottom.
Word, yes, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's almost like, if you find it too late and you reach the bottom, then you got to start all over, and you got to start all over with a different process. And, again, for somebody that's not familiar with those changes and how to work around it or how to modify it to work around it, you've got this group behind you that's going, okay, this is how I got around it. This is how we got around it over here. So people are constantly pouring back into that group as a resource for you to be able to say, listen, with the context that I have and people are talking, this is how we've gotten past it. This is my plan to change it. So it's this idea that it's a constant evolution, but you're also plugged directly into the solutions to those changes.
And again, like that's why I pay to be there. That's why I pay to have coaches, because I know that I'm not an agency.
Yeah.
I don't have people that I specifically pay to keep on, you know what I mean? Like I'm it's just me. So yes, the thing that I do to keep myself on top of that is that I think it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Shout out to Laptop Empires. They're great. But yes,
trends. Let's talk about trends for a little bit, because trends again is a constantly evolving deal. We kind of use trends and algorithms in the same statement there, and they're really two different things. Trends is really more so like hitting something that marketing wise is hot, that has a very small window, very short uptick, and then it kind of disappears and the next trend deal kind of goes into that. I think in terms of things like I've seen cross-platform posting between like TikTok and Facebook, and you see these little trends that happen, not necessarily speaking in the avenue of trends that are, if you watch TikTok, it's not necessarily all marketing trends, although there's a lot of marketing being done on there.
Yes.
But the idea of that is like, oh, I've seen that. It garners that quick attention from someone to go, what's going on here? But then you've managed to take that and tie that back into an ad that's running.
Yeah, so a great example of that, which again, I've just seen them now, and it's honestly a great idea, but what you're hitting at is like, cross-platform, all that stuff. I've seen Facebook ads lately that literally the ad itself is a TikTok video, is the business owner doing a TikTok video. They posted it on their TikTok. They also used that TikTok video that they posted in a Facebook ad.
Right.
And guess what? Honestly, it works pretty darn well. When I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see a TikTok video, first of all, I'm kind of wondering, why is it on Facebook?
Right.
Second of all, honestly, TikTok gets my attention. Like, I go to TikTok to waste time.
Yeah,
Sorry, I do.
That's funny.
So when you're on Facebook, I'm not always looking to waste time, but when a TikTok video pops up, it's probably going to waste my time. And so, I stop, I look at it, I'm intrigued, but they're literally using it in a Facebook ad, which is pretty brilliant. And pretty crazy.
Well, and like if TikTok is a place where you're spending time, that video is not going to run any longer than 30 to 60 seconds.
Correct.
Right? And then it's done. That's the end of the story. So even if it pops up on your deal, you're not going to commit more than a minute to it.
Correct. And that's a beautiful thing about TikTok, and that's its own platform in itself. But yes, it's crazy brilliant that you can use a different platform, a video that you made on a different platform, and stick it into Facebook in your ads.
And so we started, when TikTok came out, we started a TikTok account for our business. Now, don't go to it because there hasn't been anything been posted on it or whatever. But we did a couple of videos in the beginning, and they were really more so, they weren't geared towards, buy this now, learn more. It was really just to kind of highlight a few things that were either new into the store or things that we were capable of doing, right? Yeah. And what was amazing to me was literally starting it up and then putting a video up. And the next thing you know, like one of our videos, it was one of our kids that was working for us, takes one of our shirts. It was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air shirt that we had the high school name.
I love it.
Throws it up in the air. The music is playing in the background while this is happening. He kind of turns around, looks at it, throws it up in the air, and then magically it's on him, and he does this little dance. And the next thing you know, we have like 800 views on this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, well, this is ridiculous. Like, like if I had put this on Facebook, I probably would have got about 4 views on it or whatever.
Yes.
But then you think about the cross-platforming idea to be able to bring that, which again, at that point didn't exist.
Right.
It wasn't there. There was not a cross-platforming post that you could do to bring that back over into Facebook.
Right.
But then you think about that now, where you could bring that over into Facebook, tie that into an ad, work that into let's say I want to sell that shirt or whatever, work that back into an advertisement that, here's this new line of retro throwback shirts that we're doing or whatever. Buy now, and run that up on a video and run that up through an ad. And so, and with the integration of TikTok kind of coming up on the backside, people know that it's, I don't know how to word it. It's almost like it's the ADD version of YouTube. I mean, really. I mean, it's like,
there used
I know
to be a platform before TikTok called Vine a while back.
Yeah.
It's similar. Again, it's
that went way too fast for me to even grab a hold of. I know exactly what you're talking about, but
it's eye catching.
Yeah.
It's like catchy. Honestly,
Yeah.
like the songs are catchy. You know what I mean? Everybody's using the same song. So
Yes.
again, the brilliant part is with Facebook ads. I mentioned that if you have videos do really well. That being said, getting a small business to go hire like a videographer or cinematographer and create like a beautifully curated video is a lot to ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless
Yeah.
you've had that done previously, that's money. Like
Sure.
you're spending it.
Absolutely.
Whereas TikTok, brilliant thing about that is that for your business, I could get a 30-second TikTok of you printing words on a shirt, and it's satisfying, and it's clean, and it's short, and it's nice, and it's to the point. You could take that TikTok video and stick it in a Facebook ad, and videos grab your attention on there because you're not seeing videos all the way down your feed. Yeah.
That's been curated through TikTok.
Right.
Because I can't
Everybody's been hearing the same damn song for like a month,
Yeah.
right? So you're already stopping, so it's pretty catchy. Yeah.
I can't curate it through Facebook because if I post the music on Facebook, then it's going to get flagged and it'll
they
get
take
taken
it down.
down.
Don't worry. Yep.
So I create it, curate it on TikTok, bring it across, use it as advertisement on Facebook. I mean, listen, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know jack about what I'm talking about here. I'm just telling you what I've seen. And I think on the last episode of the podcast, I said I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express one time. So, that's about as good as it gets, but the idea of cross-platforming, even though your idea is I work within Facebook and within Instagram, that's still curated information, curated media that you can utilize.
Yeah.
It can still be sent back to you
Definitely.
to still utilize across.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, it can be really helpful.
To hit within a trend that may be happening within the TikTok group or whatever. Now, it is also knowing who those eyes are, right? Like the one thing that we noticed is when we got into TikTok, we found out pretty quickly that now, and again, this is at the time when it first released, right? And it was really kind of becoming its own little thing. It wasn't when it was full blown like what you see now, and it definitely didn't have all of the media hoopla behind it and everything else, but we found that the clientele that was in TikTok is not our customer.
Right. It's you're hitting it young clientele, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't people who were coming in to spend tons of money with us.
Right.
And so we kind of abandoned that. Still available to us. We can still post on it and do everything else. But now that the cross-platform works and goes back the other direction, it's one of those things that we're talking about. Okay, maybe it's time for us to pick this back up.
Right.
What is crazy is that I am almost 50 years old and now I start watching all these things. But what is also crazier is the idea that I have learned more things in 2 months on TikTok. Informational stuff that's in there.
Don't even get me started. I swear, y'all, I love A&M to death, but I go to TikTok University. I've literally learned how to redo a bathroom on TikTok lately. I swear I've been telling my significant other, we got to get tools and start doing stuff. I've literally learned how to do crown molding on there.
Listen, I take pictures differently on my phone now.
I know.
And I'm sitting there going, what was funny was my wife and I took a trip. I won't say where we went because my daughter doesn't know where we went in this process. And if she ever hears this, she'd be mad to find out where we went. But anyway, on the way back on the plane, this is how I'm kind of wasting time. And I'm looking through this and I'm finding all these little iPhone shortcuts, things that you can do on your iPhone that I didn't know existed. And then I'm next to my wife and I'm like, let's just check this out. You can do this. Did you know you could do this? And my wife is looking like, I don't care. Right. This is not my deal. I don't care. I'm like, yeah, but look, if you hold this, it does this, 100%. But the idea of that also being, if you are in a service industry, like us, for example, where you create, make things like that, it is the ability to use a controlled mechanism, meaning that 60-second window that you got to put this thing together. You got to be super creative with it. There's very few videos that you see on there where it's just literally 60 seconds of somebody just recording a video.
It's snippets, right?
Yeah, it's chopped up.
Right.
There's transitions in between it. There's wording. There's all these things kind of popping in on it. That's more, again, the eye-catching thing. The music is obviously the thing that draws a lot of people to it as well, too. But then, like you said, hitting in that little satisfying realm of oh, watch the squeegee put this ink on this shirt.
That's
and then
again,
go back.
that's what does it for people.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a beautiful thing to only have 60 seconds,
Yes.
first of all. And again, in TikTok has seriously blown up some people's small businesses, like e-commerce businesses.
Yes.
Like I see videos on there all the time of people making like jewelry, people making shirts, people sewing things. Who knows, right? It is literally doing a 60-second video of how that thing is made that makes people, catches their attention and makes them want that product. So yeah, I mean, they go, again, I literally saw a TikTok the other day of a freaking side table or something, like a nightstand, but they made it in a cool way, and in the 60 seconds they showed me how they made it, and I literally followed them because right now I want a new nightstand. That's how it works.
Listen, again, I'm almost embarrassed to say this. So I go over to Specs to get me Corona, tequila, orange juice, some grenadine, and I take it up to the register.
She's definitely going to say, did you learn this on TikTok?
She absolutely did.
Yes.
She goes, oh, you've seen the Corona sunrise on TikTok? And I'm like,
hilarious. No.
what am I supposed to answer here at this point, right? Like, no, I am the almost 50-year-old guy that figured this out on my own.
Honestly, tell them you go to TikTok University. It's fine. Embrace it. We're all learning new things. Again, I'm serious. I've learned so many. I'm not even embarrassed. I think I learned how to use like a bobby pin correctly off of Vine because I was putting it like the wrong way up, and they were like, hey, by the way, you're supposed to use it like this. I was like, that makes so much more sense. I've literally learned so many things.
I think what's even stupider for me is that when I learn something, I want to tell everybody about it. You know, like I have literally, like in show, like after we get done, I'm going to show you how to take a picture. But I literally here at work said, let me show you how I took this picture of my daughter. And I show the picture of my daughter, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. You took that on your iPhone? Yeah. Let me show you how. And then I run through the whole process that I learned. But it's that kind of stuff. For as boomer as I am at this point, as my daughter likes to call me, to then turn around and find something that's informative, that grabbed my attention. That really is the goal within the ads. The ad is to grab attention and get somebody to want to watch it and then figure out the backside of it. Is this something that I need? Yeah. Right? Meeting that up too there. There's all kinds of ridiculous stuff like face cleansers and people, mix this, and it does this. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. But if you're in the industry that creates that deal, if you're a Specs, you're the cashier at the Specs, you obviously have seen people walking up in there who are buying those things because they saw this deal. Specs doesn't need to run the advertisement on it, but even if they did, I mean, it's one other thing that's going to push out to them. And if they're actively involved with their community of people who follow them, then they potentially even create another avenue of people who maybe they are the boomers that aren't on TikTok that are over there going, well, that's pretty interesting. Let me see if this really tastes like what they're saying it's going to taste like. Yeah. And then you kind of get, you get down the road and on to the next thing. And so for us, like I was telling you in pre-show, like, we bring high school kids in and we give them tours of what we do here at the business, and they're shocked and amazed to learn how many hands touch or are part of the process of creating a screen printed shirt. And then somebody comes and asks us, how much does it cost to make a screen printed shirt? And we tell them, they're like, it's kind of expensive. And then once they know the process, they're like, holy crap. Like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like y'all aren't charging enough for as much as you're doing.
Right. When you show people the process, it humanizes what you do a little bit.
And not just that, it makes you have a better appreciation for the actual ending product.
Right.
When the ending product comes and you realize everything that went into that, and then you're just sitting there like, okay, so I have a greater appreciation for my Van Halen t-shirt that's sitting in my, in my
when
closet.
You see people making it with their hands and you see everything they do, it definitely humanizes it a little bit.
And then you get to see real people doing real jobs that again is feeding back into the community. These are people who, again, some of them have worked with us for 15 plus years doing that kind of job. They can do it in their sleep. But when you, again, can teach people that. So it might be that even your Facebook ad is a teaching and training video that then leads to the purchase of something within that particular business's deal.
Yeah,
just because they understand like what went into it to get it made.
Yeah, a lot of people actually do like ebooks, e-guides, and kind of like courses that they've made. So people will run Facebook ads for, again, one of their courses, and give you kind of a 60-second video of a tidbit of, teaching you something, right? For me, like on my Facebook, I get ads for like real estate investing, like courses and how to do that, because I'm really into real estate investments. I get
set it around your phone somewhere.
I know it knows. Don't worry, it sees me on Zillow every freaking day of my life. But yes, so definitely people run ads with a literal like 60-second pre-snippet of what they can teach you if you click learn more.
Yeah, no, and I mean,
and then they get you and it works. Hey.
So again, it's things that maybe you're not even familiar with in running these ads that are a little outside of the box. I mean, it's outside of the box to see a TikTok ad or to see a TikTok video show up in a Facebook,
right.
especially as an ad, right? It's just one of those things where you're like, why is this over here? And when did I get onto TikTok here? Like, I mean, but again, it's like you said, man, it's like mental decompression for some people where they just get lost down the rabbit hole.
Definitely.
And so if you know that people spend their time doing that in very short, small windows of time, you also then understand, like, if you're going, like you said earlier, if you go out, make a professional video, have a videographer come in, record a professional video of what it is that you do, take it, edit it, put music to it, lighting, all the other stuff, bring all that back to it. That's a lot.
It's a lot
and
of money.
You're going to pay a lot more for that than you are for any ad you're going to run.
Exactly.
Probably for multiple ads you would run.
Right. Yeah, it's a commitment.
But it is the idea of going, okay, am I that professional of a business that I need that? Or is this something that I can really kind of restructure my perception of my business?
Again, your
to
business
my clients?
is a great example of that. Like I would never recommend hiring a videographer, whoever, to come out here and make you a commercial level quality, right?
Yeah.
You literally could sell so many things by making dumb 60-second TikToks of printing shirts. Like,
Listen,
that's what gets people's attention.
We've learned it here. Again, I was telling you, my niece handles a lot of our social media, and a lot of the stuff that she puts up, again, is very sharp, to the point,
quick.
But it is the cute. Has the cute factor. When I was posting stuff, it wasn't the cute factor. For me, I came from Walmart retail, so it was like, it almost looked like, here's a picture of it.
Here is $19.99.
Boom,
Perfect.
that's it. End of story. She's over there with little flowers in the background, a little sticker that matches it, and all this kind of stuff. But again, it garners the traction.
It does.
So if you're in that market and you're sitting there going, okay, well, how do I reach people that aren't a part of this? Like, we're fortunate that we have a pretty good following on Facebook and on Instagram. And we've really kind of backed away from, what's been funny is we've backed away from intentionally trying to increase those numbers, and they've kind of organically increased as a part of all this other stuff through people sharing it out, tagging somebody out in it, almost similar to what we were doing before, where we're saying, like, share, comment, that kind of stuff, tag two people. It's really almost being done organically on the backside, just through creative advertisements that are being put out there, creative posts that are being put out there. So let's talk about this last thing. So I told you at some point we get around to your hobbies here.
Oh, boy.
So your hobbies, and one you said, as we were in there, it's not really a hobby. It was almost like a career for you, I guess, at one point. So let's talk hobby first, and then we'll go and finish off on the last, because I think the last one probably has a lot more to do with what it is that you do today.
Yes.
But you love horses.
Y'all. Oh boy. I told him, but I told y'all, my parents are immigrants and they're from Panama, but they have been in Texas a mighty long time, and I was born and raised in Texas. My older sibling was born and raised in Texas, so as you can hear in my twangy accent. But I want y'all to understand, like, when I say, again, we're from Houston, we're from central Houston. Like, there is no cowboyness in where I grew up, okay? It's just not there, right? And everybody else in my family, like, I don't know where I came from, are not into it, okay? There no cattle, no farm animals. Like, they don't want chickens. My dream is to have chickens. Ask my significant other. I talk about them daily. I don't know why, okay? They drive regular cars. For my first car, I wanted an F-150, okay? I'm a big truck girl. I don't know what it is, y'all, but I can't with horses. I'm so, oh my God, just obsessed with them, in love with them. It's really that one thing that brings me like peace and calmness. I feel like everybody.
This is your unicorn.
It really is. Like I mean, I
can't,
y'all. I told them it's so embarrassing, but I've literally broke down into full on tears from seeing a horse across a field. I literally started bawling because it makes me that happy. I don't know what it is, but because I had that, I mean, I have a crazy obsession with them. As I mentioned, my family does not understand that concept, and they are not my friends. I'm a little bit more of a cowgirl over here. So basically, they did not understand my obsession, and I begged my whole life. Like, I was like that kid, like, please, can I have a pony for Christmas? The answer was always no. If you're wondering, I never got that. But they always told me, my parents are hustlers. They always told me, like, no, ma'am. I don't know if you've noticed, but horses are a very expensive hobby. They literally eat money, I swear. So yes, they always told me, like, that's really cute and all that you like them, but that's not a hobby we're going to pay for. Like, good luck. If you want to do that, go ahead and do that. So wow, what a concept. So I've done this at like 5 or 6 barns now. It is embarrassing now that I say it as an adult, but starting in like middle school, honestly, like 5th grade, 6th grade, I would beg my mom or one of my parents to take me to a barn. Like, I would research, an equestrian center that offered horseback riding lessons, and I would beg them, like, please just drop me off there. Just drop me off. Like, let me talk to people. If you might have caught it in this podcast, but I can talk to a freaking brick wall. Like, I could talk to literally anything, anyone, okay? I make friends. I can make friends with anything, okay? Promise. So I used to tell them, like, come on, please, 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 just take me. And I would literally go to these barns. I've never stepped foot on them. I would kind of work my way around and kind of look around, and I would find the owner or the manager of the barn or the grandma and grandpa this is their farm kind of thing. And I would say, hi, do you need help around the barn? Like, do you need a barn? Do you need your stalls mucked? And they were like, yeah, like, we have ranch hands. Like, I guess we could always use extra help, but, we're not looking to hire a new ranch hand right now. And I'd be like, oh, wait, you don't have to pay me with money. You can actually pay me by letting me ride one of your horses. Literally any horse in this barn. I don't care if it's the bucking bronco in the back. Let me sit on it. Please, God, I swear that's all you have to do. That's the only, and they would look at me like, huh, like they would laugh in my face and be like, girl, if you want to freaking pick up a shovel and start mucking shit out of my barn, go for it. Like, if that's all you want, horse time, that's all I wanted. And I've done this, again, 5 or 6 different places now where I did it, all the time. I did it my whole summers. I would go and clean up horse shit, and in return, I would get paid by literally getting to ride horses or getting horseback riding lessons. So I did that. Oh my, yes, like, again, 5th grade, probably starting 5th grade, 4th grade, honestly.
Now, there's like a bunch of there's a bunch of farms out there. There's a bunch, like Jennifer Stark's probably out there writing all your information down and going, okay.
Well, I was about to say, so I did do that for a long time. What I will tell you now is, if you're listening to this podcast, make sure you get paid for doing that. Please never do that for free.
They're probably just figuring out they can trade services with you to let you ride a horse.
Maybe not me, because again, now now I know better. Now I know I should have freaking asked for money for that. But honestly, if you own a barn, look for some horse crazy kids like me who their parents wouldn't let. They will literally do just about, I would have done just about anything to get horse time. So yes, I did that, bunch of odd jobs. I was a camp counselor once for a barn for a horseback. They did like horse camp with little kids every summer. I was a whole ass camp counselor, y'all. Okay, you know how much work that is? That's all day with like 40 kids. Did not get paid. Literally asked for horseback riding lessons.
You're like, how many hours of riding do I get out of
Literally,
this?
that's what I would ask them, and they would make me a deal with X amount of hours of work got me like X amount of riding lessons. So yes, literally, that is how obsessed I am with them. Did that up until college. When I was at A&M, I still did this wildness, okay? Now that I'm an adult, my significant other tells me it's not appropriate to go offer like free stall cleaning for lessons. He was like, no, ma'am. Like, honestly, we'll pay for your stinking lessons. But eventually, he already knows. When you meet me, I told him, me and horses, unfortunately, we're a package deal. We come together. I might not have one yet, but I'm letting you know right now, like, before I die, I will be purchasing at least one. And honestly, they're like chips. You kind of want more than one? Exactly. I told him we're going to have like a little bit of room. We're going to have kind of a big backyard / these are all the things that come with it. He
Horse
agreed.
therapy.
Again, he agreed begrudgingly, so he knows that eventually it's coming for him. But yes, boy, do I have a mighty obsession with horses. Definitely
All
a horse
right,
girl.
so let's talk about the other one, which again, you didn't call this a hobby.
Yes, I know.
Kinda-
He was trying to figure out my hobbies, and he mentioned it, and I laughed.
You're like, that wasn't a hobby.
That was not a hobby.
So you were a gymnast.
I was, yes. So yes, everybody who knows me probably has heard my name and like me mention gymnastics in some realm. I did do competitive gymnastics for quite a long time growing up. And I would say, you know, when you're like 4 years old and you go do one of those gymnastics classes in a gym, I was not in one of those classes, ma'am. That's what you're misunderstanding. I started in one of those classes, and competitive gymnastics coaches always scope out they want like the youngest kids possible. That's part of being in gymnastics.
Right.
So yes, I started in that and then kind of got into competitive gymnastics, and you kind of get pulled out of those little fun classes and you get put into a competitive team. Much different, I'll tell you. But yeah, no, I did that for many, many, many years. Boy, did it teach me a lot of lessons. The incredible amount of discipline that they need to have. And honestly, just like the mental strength. I still can't believe I did the things I used to do. I used to have to be able to do, my significant other, he doesn't even believe me. I used to have to be able to do like 50 pull-ups in a minute without stopping. And I had to hit that, like I had to keep going, like without a break, you had to do 50. And when I say pull-ups, they made you like extend your arm all the way back out, right? And then pull back up. And then once you hit that, like my significant other was like, oh, right, then you should have gotten a prize or something. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. You know what they did when you hit that? They put weights on your ankles and then made you try it like that. And then you'd have to hit 50 like that. After you did it with ankle weights on, they put a weighted belt on you. Okay,
Nice.
now do it. Okay, that's how it worked. And so I did that for many, many years. Oh my God, I literally do not show people childhood pictures of me. I made my mother take all of that shit off Facebook. I looked like a little boy. It definitely got made fun of because my arms, I just looked like y'all, no curves. I was just one box, very boxy little girl with some hella muscles on me. But yes, I did that for a long time. Eventually, I just got so many injuries and was so tired and wanted to go to like regular school, like public high school. I don't know why I ever freaking wanted that. Oh my God, bless my soul. But I did. So yes, I stopped doing it competitively, and then again, I couldn't stay away for very long. Unfortunately, I left for a little bit, and then I wanted to kind of get back into it. So I started coaching competitive gymnastics, or regular gymnastics first, and then kind of competitive, and then regular again. But I coached it for like another 4 or 5 years. And yeah, coaching was great. For the period, the time of life that I was in, it was great.
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely very passionate about gymnastics. Again, my significant other, we're about to hit the Olympics, but he's never been with me through an Olympics before. And Summer Olympics is really gymnastics' biggest spotlight.
Right.
So I told them, I'm like, sweetie, I feel so damn bad for you. Like, you think you watching football is like a thing. Like, he hasn't even seen, I don't let people be in the same room when I'm watching gymnastics. Like, it's a whole nother level, right? So yes, again, would I say it was a hobby of mine? I would say it was like a thing that I did that was very intense. But definitely, am I passionate about it? Yes, of course. And again, I coached it, which definitely adds on to me being passionate about the sport. I love the sport. It's stunning. And I just know a lot about it, and I know how hard it is. So yes, me watching and all of that. Again, I do not do it in public, and I don't let anybody around me. So we'll see if we're still together after these Summer Olympics come.
So the backside question that I had for you out of bringing these to the surface was, how do you feel like these have helped you with stepping into an entrepreneurial role, knowing that it's all you, knowing that you got to kill it, drag it, bring it home, the whole 9 yards. You got to be Johnny on the spot for your customers and everything else. How do you feel like those have like worked in favor of helping you do that?
Y'all, if I haven't already made it evidently clear with my horse obsession, that was a hustle. Like, the only way I was going to get to be around those animals was hustling. Like my parents were like, that's hilarious. They're like, I don't know why you like those nasty things. I'm like, y'all are the worst. But yes, the only way I was going to be able to be around that was full on hustling. Like I had to figure out what services can I offer to be in that realm. So I think that, my hustle's always been there, and my entrepreneurship has always been there. I never thought that as a kid I'd be doing this. Again, I mentioned my parents are probably laughing. But here I am. And then, man, gymnastics, I mean, that really was, I mentioned to him earlier before we started, it is an individual sport. It's a team sport and individual sport. So you have a team, but I mean, on your team, you work out with these girls daily, and they're the only people you hang out with them more than your family, but you are evidently trying to beat the girl next to you that you train with every day. You're trying to outscore her. So it is such an individual sport. It's such a mental toughness sport. Really, how hard can you push yourself? And knowing, all the responsibility was on you. If I lost something, it wasn't like, oh, I lost a basketball game and my team lost. No. I lost, or I didn't perform at that competition. It's all you. Right. On you. So I think that, in doing that, it gave me a very individualized way of thinking. I tried to play soccer once, and I got taken off the team for getting too many red cards. Clearly, I'm not meant for that. But again, I liked doing
your boxy frame as you
I literally got taken out for too many red
cards.
cards because I elbowed too many people, and I thought that was allowed. I was like, why wouldn't that be allowed? They're trying to get on top of me, and they were like, that's the point of soccer. And I was like, oh. But yes, I think that definitely gave me, like, honestly, the discipline, that go-getter attitude, and just individualized. Like, I'm just used to, doing things on my own and knowing that, yep, it's all me. It's just me. So again, in the gym, it was the same concept. And I've told people, like, oh, unfortunately, I can't get this to go away. But after gymnastics, I would get into working out. Like, I can't. You know how people say, like, working out is like their, my significant other says it's like his, like, detox time. Like, it's like enjoyable for him. Like, he does it to, like, what do you say, de-stress? You know what I mean? Like, it's your time. I'm like, y'all are we're on a different planet, because when I used to work out, not in gymnastics, like, I was a full-on adult, used to work out, but went to Gold's Gym, and the people working there asked me if I was okay because I was vomiting, like, in the trash can. And they were like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, are you sick? And I was like, no, I'm just doing a workout. And people would look at me like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, y'all, working out is not enjoyable. We have a different understanding of what that means. If I didn't push myself, there's no trainer around me either. If I didn't push until I was physically sick, vomiting, and or crying, that just wasn't how I was taught to work out. Like, that's what I was used to. And so again, I still, unfortunately, when it comes to working out, that's the one area you'll see, you're like, whoa, it's definitely still there. I try to relax it a little bit.
Your competitive side comes out.
And I'm competing against no one. That's right. The scariest part. People are like, what are you doing? So that's
your husband's weird. Like, I'm going to let you go work out on your own.
He said, like, we can't work out at the same gym or anything because it's too much. So no, we'd go at different times, and he has a membership to a completely different gym. Yeah.
Well, there's a different level of beast when it comes to gymnasts versus, your regular Joes.
Again, I think people always look at me like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking fine. Leave me alone. I'm doing my workout. And they're like, but you're crying. I'm like, that's literally what you should be doing at the end of your workout. I don't know. Y'all people are playing games. I know y'all are playing games. Y'all are in here enjoying your time, your de-stress time. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Hold on. I'm going to go do my 50 pull-ups and I'll be back.
My God. Trust me, I'm nowhere near that anymore. I used to be. I don't know how I did that, but yes.
Well, I think it's important for people to hear that, because I think that drive, the commitment, the intensity that kind of goes behind that is all things that kind of follow along with your business. I mean, you want to be successful as an entrepreneur. You really, you'd alluded to it, didn't flat come out and say it, but you're trying to prove something here, not just to yourself. But you're trying to kind of prove something to your parents a little bit. And,
absolutely.
To the people who are out there who maybe had Annie boxed into, this is what you should go do.
Yeah, no, again, I really changed a whole lot. I'm doing something completely different that was not on my parents' radar, not on my family's radar. I really changed some stuff up. So I think definitely I have something to prove.
Well, and you're not going to get somebody, if somebody comes along and says, hey, Annie, we'd love to hire you for your services and help us with running ads on these social media platforms. you're not going to get somebody that's just bailing out on you. Like, this is too tough. I'm out. I mean, that, it's, listen, we move on to the next thing.
Right.
This doesn't work. We move on to the next thing. If this doesn't work, we build this, but having the game plan, having the response mechanism of fight versus flee becomes really important in being an entrepreneur and running a business, because a lot of people are quick to kind of look at they're quick to look at when the trend for their business as an entrepreneur maybe doesn't meet what they had in mind, that they sit there and go, oh man, well, this just isn't going to work. And then they just pack up and move on to the next thing.
Right.
I think in your world, it's always probably been met, especially in that gymnast side of it, it's always been met with the overcome. Like, you don't get this luxury of
that was not an option. That's why I'm saying I laugh at other people, because I'm like, that
you don't
is so
you don't get the
wild.
luxury of saying I can't. In order to be on this team, in order to be a part of what it is that we're doing, these are required things to do.
It was required for you to go home.
Yeah.
If you wanted to leave the premises, you had to do what you were being asked to do, whether you thought you could do it or not.
Yeah.
They did not care.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do your back tuck.
Well,
if you do not do your back tuck, you are not leaving this
because
building.
you think about
that
all
is
the mental barriers that have to be broken through almost daily. I mean, it's not just, it starts with simple little things. I watched my daughter did gymnastics for a very short amount of time, but it is when you start telling these kids, like, you're going to do a backflip over, what is the rolling thing? It's like a huge rolling deal that they arch their back over, and it kind of helps them get
They're
the
prepping
feel.
for a backhand spring, but it's like a spotter.
Yeah, they get the feel of it, right? But the idea of I'm gonna put my head over, or it's gonna go this way, and my feet are gonna go over my head, and that scared, look of like, I can't do it. And then you get it, and then you get it better, and you do it more and more, and then all of a sudden the confidence level builds up with that.
Yeah.
And you're doing something, so I spent 40 years in martial arts, and I tell people that there are a lot of people who take martial arts. Out of every 100 martial artists that start, only 1% will make it to black belt. And outside of that, when that 1% hits black belt, anything above that, really the numbers really start to decrease, because for a lot of people, it's I've reached this goal and I'm done. Mm-hmm. And so to stay on long term, to continue the training, to continue to elevate and escalate in there, you really it has to be a passion. It has to be something that you're driven to do. And then you find yourself in this very, very small percentage window of people just on the planet that do these things and are doing them at the level that you're doing. Gymnasts were one of those. I mean,
gymnastics
it's even
is super
smaller.
Similar. So again, I always tell people, if you look at the Olympic team for gymnastics, this is not a basketball team.
Right.
Okay. They choose out of our whole country. They choose. Last time it was 5. This time it is 4.
Right.
4 women.
Yeah.
Okay. Get to be on this team. That is it. Yeah. Do you know how good you have to be to even be in the running to be one of those 4, let alone be one of those 4? When I say it's gymnastics, do not mistake it with the fact, like, I had a potential to be one of those 4. No, ma'am, I did not have potential to be one of those 4. Yeah. That's okay. I still had to be in that group that, again, like, I was still in that same group with those 4. Crazy. Again, I competed against so many people
still
that are
the same deal, like
now,
going to college and doing gymnastics in colleges and things like, I mean, all of these things, show a drive and a passion towards commitment, right?
Yes.
And so when somebody is looking to partner up with a business that's working towards helping them be better as a business, getting them to their goal, getting them to achieve something that is elusive to them at that point.
You're looking for a go-getter.
Yeah, having somebody that's there that
You're
is
looking for somebody who's
full
not gonna
commitment.
quit.
Full commitment. I'm in 100%. If that's your upbringing on things, if this is how things kind of work their way up to the spectrum there, it's the idea of going, listen, man, like, this is just a temporary setback, and then we move forward.
Yes, I think, again, I prepped you. My personality, like, I've been told that I have an aggressive personality. Like, literally, my nature is aggressive. And I'm very blunt and I'm very direct, and sometimes that can rub people the wrong way.
Sure.
But again, there are certain times where it comes in handy, and I think in what I do, it does come in handy. I'm quick, I'm direct, I'm definitely a go-getter. And I mean, I'm just...
If you're spending your money as a business owner, you don't want lip service on where your money's going.
Right.
You want to know exactly the who's, what's, where's, and why's of how that money's being spent, and you want to see the result on the back end of that.
Definitely.
And so being able to actively come in and say, this is what's reasonable for your expectation based on what it is that you're spending in.
Yeah.
And if we're not here, then I haven't done my job. Right. I mean, so as you can in the same sense kind of guide along that business owner to go, this is where we're going to get to. Here's how we're going to get to it. I'm going to help you with the process. This is not a one-sided deal. It's not just all what I do. You're going to have to do your part on this as well too, and I'll walk you through those steps. But having somebody committed to the end result, having somebody committed to say, okay, at the end of all of this, I want a business that's over here that is a champion of the execution of what it is that I told them we could do. And so I want them to be able to speak back into the business that I'm trying to grow as well too. I want them to be the ones that are pouring back in the reviews to go, listen, there's a lot of places out here, but here's why I'm going with Annie versus anybody else. So, and they just leave it at that. And that becomes your calling card in your business growth, is raving fans, almost, to the level of lunatic status where people can't talk about you enough and what it is that you do, let you know that you've paved a path that other people will want to get on and follow behind you with. And the growing it aspect, and like I said, I tell people all the time, like, we're not number one in what it is that we do. We're number two in town, right? And number one is way larger than we are. They do a lot more business than we do. But honestly, we don't want to be number one. And,
that would be comparing me to a full-blown marketing agency. No, I'm not a marketing agency.
I want my business to be known as connected more than anything else. Not connected like, connected doing things in the community, connected to my customer when they walk in. I want my customer to feel the individual experience as opposed to feeling like a number. And so when you get too big, when you get to that point where
too streamlined and too
you got all these heads that are working in your business, it's hard to maintain the atmosphere that makes you who you are.
Definitely.
And so for us, starting small and it's just you, it's easy to pave that path. Yeah. And as you get bigger and you add people into the mix and everything else, you want to ensure that what it is that makes you successful continues to stay that way.
Yes.
And for us, the thing that makes us successful at number two, and why we tend to get a lot of number one stuff, they come from them to us, is because we will know who their name is, we'll know about their business, we'll treat the experience when they come in as one that is more personalized. And that is something that you can't put a dollar amount on.
I agree.
So as people get into working alongside of you and everything else, it's not just the idea that, hey, I'm here to help you grow your advertisement and grow your business. I'm also here to create that experience with you so that you trust me.
Yeah.
That we get a good relationship going, that I can be honest back the other direction along with you being honest with me.
Yeah.
And then that way, if we're both on the same page with what the expectations are, there's no cloudiness, there's no murkiness here. Everybody knows what to expect. I'll fire myself probably before you fire me.
Right. I think, again, good communication and direct communication is key. And honestly, normally people that meet me, like I've, met other entrepreneurs in town, I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a salesperson to start. Like, that's not my job.
Right.
So I don't go to groups and meet up in groups and try to sell my service.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm looking for friends. Most of the time I meet people and I create friendships, and I don't care if they need my service or not.
Right.
Hopefully maybe down the line, if somebody else needs my service and they know of me, they might drop my name out or something. But normally, I'm trying to just build relationships, make friends. I've honestly met so many people that have the same mindset. It's been so refreshing.
Yeah.
Just being able to meet other entrepreneurs in town. And I love things like what you're doing. Thank you, by the way, for what you're doing, and thank you for having me. But I love, groups here just in Bryan College Station local where I can meet other people that are doing the same thing as I'm doing, because I really never thought that I'd be in this realm. I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing, but it's so nice to meet other people that, have the same mindset, have the same struggles, have the same pros, or love their lifestyle, same thing. So yes, I think I've really loved meeting people in this realm, and I just, focus on building good relationships.
So I've lived both sides of the coin. I've lived the corporate world and I've lived the small business life. And I will tell you that there's an obligation in the small business life to be a mentor, to be an advisor, to be a sounding board, to be a voice of hope, to other small businesses, whether they're struggling, whether they're just getting started, whether they're, trying to find their footing.
Yeah.
Maybe they've changed their initial game plan and it looks different now as a business than what it did before. Whatever that looks like, we all have an obligation as small business owners to be able to prop those people up. There is no such thing as there's no room. I mean, that's the one thing that I think people tend to miss in the atmosphere of small business.
I would have never gotten into what I got into if I had the concept of there's no, you know how many people do freaking digital marketing?
Listen,
8 million people.
How many times do you see on BCS Meals and Deals, a barbecue place posted, right?
And
people sit there, you'll see people going, there's another barbecue place coming to town. But you know what? What you don't see a lot of barbecue places closing.
Right.
You still see places, and there's still room for everybody to grow and be successful.
Yes.
And so as small business owners, for us in this podcast, it was an opportunity to be able to put small businesses in the limelight, to talk about what it is that they're doing, to highlight them and give them a platform or a springboard to be able to use this as a part of their growth. And so it doesn't matter whether or not they're in the same realm as us or not. It doesn't matter whether or not they're one person or 1,000 people.
Yeah.
The idea of it for us here in the Bryan College Station area is that we need to put more value and protection into small businesses, spend our money local, keep that money here for people who will then use that money within our community.
Yeah.
Whether that's school taxes, whether that's property taxes, whether that's growing jobs, whatever that looks like. And so when you're looking at the small business platform, we all need to understand and remember that small businesses were here before corporate businesses in any environment. It doesn't matter. You pick a town, pick a Houston, Texas. There was no such thing as corporate business in Houston, Texas before small business.
Definitely.
And so small businesses create the foundation for larger businesses to come in. And we have to continue to protect that. And so as we've found, as during pandemic and everything else, there's convenience in corporate. There's convenience in being able to order things online and have them shipped to your door and all this other kind of stuff. And, quickly go grab a quick shopping trip here or there, or getting it delivered to you, or having it taken to your car. There's convenience in all of that. But where you have an opportunity that you can spend your dollars locally and support a small entrepreneur here in town,
definitely.
That's really where we try to encourage people to spend that money, spend it with local businesses that are doing great things locally.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for you. I know there's a market for it. I have no doubt, because we were talking before we went on air that these are things that I think any given business owner that's running a small business right now, I think they're all things that they struggle with,
Definitely.
And told you how many times I've boosted stuff. I don't think I've ever run a Facebook ad, but I've always boosted things. So it's also valuable to be able to sit down and hear, do this, don't do this,
right.
And so I'm actually encouraged. I'll talk to you a little bit off air of something that I think you could probably do as well, just to teach and train people as well. I know we were talking about before we came on here is the idea is somebody listening in is not just to learn just about you and your business, but also to get a little bit of little knowledge-based nugget that they can walk away with and goes, I did not know that.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I was going to say for any of the listeners, it's, again, been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. But yeah, people that are listening to this do not need to be currently doing what we were talking about today, or do not need to be currently looking for a digital marketer. Again, I don't care if you hire me or not. If you need help, let me know. But yes, I hope that everybody who's listening today learned something
Absolutely.
new, learned something what not to do, what to do, and just got a little. Again, I told you though, I'm weird and I like annoying facts, so I am one of those people that listens to every podcast under the sun and likes to learn random things. But I hope that I taught some.
Yeah, man. There's always
some
something.
new things.
There's always something at this table to learn. There's no doubt about that. So, all right. So Annie Canto with an O, Canto,
Yes,
not you.
not
So
you. Don't
Annie
do it.
Canto, you can reach her. Her business is Traction Digital Marketing, and she has an email address. You can reach her at tractionmarketing21. That's 21 at gmail.com, or they can reach you by phone 832-622-5573. And again, that goes directly to you, so they can reach you.
It does, yeah. Again, I'm gonna say I'm not an agency, so I don't have a business landline. Please do not call me at 2 a.m.
It's not going to an answering service,
and it's just coming straight to me. But any other time besides 2 a.m, I'm here.
So guys, reach back to Annie. Let her show you what she can do to help your business. If you're trying to get out into the market, get ads out into the market to drive business back to you, let her come in. I'm sure they can just hit you up even just to talk through things. I mean, there's no.
No,
commitment
I was gonna
doing
say
any of
even
that.
if you're new and you're doing like boosted posts or stuff like that, or you just have general questions. Honestly, on Facebook, I'm always answering general questions.
Okay.
And then people that I like that know me text me sometimes. So yes, of course, if you have any questions regarding it or wondering if you're doing something right or wrong, always feel free to reach out. Again, I've got time, so I'm
Awesome.
here.
Always a pleasure. I'm glad that you came on the
Thank
show.
you
We got an
again,
opportunity to talk about your business.
Thank you so
for your
much
time
for
so
having
much.
me. I appreciate it. Honestly.
Absolutely. And again, Annie Canto is your person. If you are looking for Facebook, Instagram ads, she's going to be able to help you out, guide you in the right directions, potentially even handle it for you and take that off your plate if you need that as a small business owner. And again, guys, we appreciate you joining us every week and listening to us, and we look forward and talk to you later. Have a great day.
Thank y'all. Bye.